Ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful afternoon it is here at the DoorDash LCO. It's time for some upper bracket action, and it's time to see what Pentonet's been cooking up in the kitchen. Of course, we did see the first day of playoffs yesterday, which certainly surprised us. 3-0s across the board. Chiefs, we had to say goodbye to them. And of course, you got Direwolves with the W, who get to play Pentonet today. But let's have a quick look back at yesterday before we jump into today's action and see what went down.
Over there, who got it? It was in the end, it was only, he got it. But in the end, we're still looking at order, trying to end the game. Puma so low, goes down to an Elder Proc, but the Nexus is open. Kevy surely won't have enough damage to get it done here himself and will fall down for order, despite a very stoic attempt on the defense. Here's a teleport into the backline. Maximize and Chungy. Can they finally turn something back on its head? Well, Maximize just gets absolutely obliterated, deleted, but the reinforcements are there. Beats now the focus of fire, gives the reset over to Only, who will now take his man. Puma is the next one to fall.
Picking overall.
Looks like they're going to go to Claire here. Hex flash over the wall from Beats. Should get the hook through, but a good flash from Claire, dodges it. And it sends Kevy absolutely reeling under the tower. That has gone all wrong.
And there you have it. That is what happened yesterday with some crazy games, some crazy highlights, and a whole lot of action. And I dare say we've got a lot more action coming up today. And to bring you said action, we've got two fancy faces here on the desk. It is going to be Rusty and Skimmy. Oh, and Nat as well. Thanks for joining us. How are we all going?
Good. Great.
Beautiful,
I'll do the talking for Rusty. He's going to preserve that beautiful voice of his, so he's happy. He's actually getting a little bit low and comfy, and
I am actually a lot lower.
Soaking into the action. It's going to be a good one.
Looking good as well there, Rusty. Are you working on a moustache, are you?
I'm not, okay, working on it's a little bit incorrect. I have one. It's a weak one because I have blonde facial hair. I did it for you though, Mac, because we're wearing pink today, so may as well have a cheeky mustache in there as well.
Yes, we certainly are having a damn good time. We wear pink on Wednesdays. No, the other way around. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. That's the one. Nice little tribute. But of course, Nat, how are you doing over there as well? You got your, what symbol's that? Is that, are you toxic?
Yeah. Rusty pointed this one out. I thought maybe I'd bring a little bit of toxicity, a little bit of heat to the broadcast today, and I thought I'd warn everyone by wearing the symbol.
Watch out, interviewees.
Well, there you have it. Anyway, let's have a quick look back at the bracket and see where all the teams are. You guys were all here yesterday, so you kind of know the situation at hand. However, everyone at home may not. So, only one game this evening is going to be a best of 5 between Pentonet and Direwolves. That's that upper bracket game you see on your screen. Of course, yesterday the games went like this. Direwolves 3-0'd Order and knocked Order down to that lower bracket. Chiefs got 3-0'd by Peace, who are looking in fine form. So Chiefs already out of the playoffs. They only had one chance there, and they are Gonskis. And that brings us to today, which is the game I mentioned before. And then the lower bracket game, the next elimination game, is going to be next Tuesday. And that one is between Order and Peace. So, Rusty, anything you want to say about any of the games here? You weren't here for the second half of yesterday. Do you want to touch on that Peace and Chiefs game?
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to touch on, if I'm going to be honest. Yesterday, 3-0s across the board was the biggest surprise, more than anything else. I don't think a single one of us, besides Mac, who went all in, predicted any 3-0s, which, you know, I don't think anyone actually thought we were going to see it. Mac just went all in on it and was correct. But the other thing that does stand out to me is that we have one best of 5 of PGG in this bracket right now, and if they win, they're straight into the finals. So congratulations on finishing first in the regular season. They've made it easy for themselves.
Well, they certainly have. And I just quickly want to touch back as well. So you were saying the 3-1 prediction is a cop-out, right? If I remember correctly, you actually predicted 3-1 in that second series, but you weren't here to defend yourself. So do you want to say any words now?
I mean, yeah, that was clearly a mistype. I thought it was going to be a 3-0. I don't know where the 1 came from, Mac. I won't take the bonus points, though. It's fine. I'll take the L on that. What matters is we got the tip correct, yeah?
Okay.
No
Yes,
more 3-1s.
true.
No more 3-1s.
Can I
True,
just say,
however,
though,
yeah.
Oh, we say that we're surprised by like a 3-0, except so many of the times where we've like predicted, I guess, against Order and Chiefs in the regular season was because they couldn't adapt quick enough, like week to week, day to day. So I guess it's actually not that surprising that they went 3-0. We knew that they're teams that struggle to, I guess, change quickly and adapt to what their opponents are bringing out. So it does kind of make sense in the long run, but a little bit disappointing to see.
Well, I'm keen to see how these teams go today. And to have a quick look, if we are going to be moving forward here, we have some key picks. Yesterday it was the top 5, top 4, whereas now we've only got 4 teams remaining. So it is actually going to be the top 4 today, Rusty. You have hand-selected these 4 champs, and why have you done so?
Yeah, we've basically picked, because we did this yesterday, you know, we're not going to go every single day find 4 champions in the meta that are going to be super important to talk about. Today's picks are more about this best of 5 series and what we think are going to be 4 important champions for various reasons. So, you know, starting with Xerath. Xerath was seen yesterday by Gunkai, but was also seen in the last week of the LCO. He uses it as a pick into the Ziggs, so if Direwolves are on blue side, they'll be able to, you know, let the Ziggs go. And I believe almost all 6 games it was considered as a first rotation on red side as priority with Leona. So you get the Xerath, you outrange the Ziggs, you come into mid-game, and we saw this as well yesterday if you didn't see the tape, but he's constantly relevant. You know, while they both scale up, even if you get onto the Ziggs, the Xerath do 90% of his health, he's still able to deal damage, and outranging is a viable strategy if you ask me. In drafting in League of Legends. So look out for Crabbles playing the Xerath. Viego is the second pick here. The reason that it's here is it's actually quite a high priority champion for both teams. In very different ways though, right? Only's been going absolutely insane with the pick and we haven't seen Shock consider it. In contrast, on the other side of the coin here, you've got PGG where Chaz has been playing it. You do have Pabu playing it. We haven't seen Biopanther look at it, however, I don't think too much. Maybe one game, just not his preference, right? So maybe in different roles where we'll see that pick, but definitely high priority was first picked almost every game on blue side yesterday. Mordekaiser is in here for Biopanther. One of the reasons for this is Direwolves in a lot of their recent games have skirmished really, really well around top side. You know, the 2v2 kills between Claire, who's always picking Renekton, and Only, who has the Viego, you know, has the Xin Zhao as well. And not going to be as easy to do if PGG have champions like a Mordekaiser, who innately is designed to stop ganks going to your tower, can play safe, you know, can consider skirmishes later on, but the fact that he isolates himself for 7 seconds makes ganking impossible. Maybe a strategy that PGG enact here against Direwolves. And the pick number 4 is very similar to Viego, Mac, in that Lee Sin, I think, should be a high priority champion for various reasons, being that Chaz is a very good Lee Sin, yes, but at the same time, Only is a fantastic Lee Sin who just hasn't really been playing it much. But internationally, Lee Sin's been rising up a lot. You know, the LEC, I think it was Wipo, all of the games of his playoff series, he was playing the Lee Sin. It works super well into LeBlanc, which both mid laners should be able to look at as well for 2v2 skirmishing. So expecting to see a lot of Lee Sin priority today.
Okay, and there you have it. Now, before we do move along, Skimmy, do you have anything to say about these 4 champs?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of really good Lee Sin montage plays yesterday. It just sets you up for so much success, right? You can get a good kick, displace a key target, and find the kill afterwards. Mordekaiser, I think, is an interesting talking point because we only saw it once from Biopanther. It was up against the Chiefs. He played it into a composition that was looking to try and dive him. It was a case of, you know, a Twisted Fate TPing topside, making it a 2v1 and sort of living to tell, right? So it's sort of Biopanther's playground in that regard. He can feel comfortable, take the fight, win it out, get the stats, then look to try and, you know, force the 1v2. I'm excited for the bot lane because as Rusty touches on Xerath, I think that's where Direwolves could excel in a particular area, be it that they play the mages. You don't really look at Praedyth as being the mage player. Similar boat to, you'd imagine, Violet, with just pure AD carry, mechanical mastermind. So there's going to be some interesting outplays and sort of the drafts could have some big advantages.
Certainly could. Now, of course, you guys yesterday, I'm going to say you were a little bit lazy. I did see some content. Yes, we got some up there, but we had what was a normal amount of time, even though we were expecting it to be about 10 hours of games. And I didn't see a whole lot of content coming from you all. So please pick up your game today. It's a Wednesday afternoon. It's evening. Look, you got nothing else to do. We're all in bloody lockdown anyway. So get your content pants on and at LCO, send it in. Even just put it in the Twitch chat. We've said it before. If it gets spotted, we'll bring it in. op.gg review. Show us how you're watching the playoffs. Tell us which team is going to win. I don't know, do some crazy predictions. If you got some French fries off of DoorDash, maybe line them up and say like 3-2 or 3-1 or something interesting. You know, just anything. Let's get creative.
Get some cool chips.
Yeah, you could do it with, I don't know, some tomato sauce or anything as well, but it's a bit more messy if you do it that way. So, yeah, there you have it. Anyway, I have a question for you guys. Now, I know we did have to make some scuffed cosplays previously, but if you got a chance to cosplay a champ that you wanted to, what champ would it be, Rusty?
I mean, I was going to say Zagreus from Hades, but if we had to pick in League of Legends,
Yes.
I would... You know what? Varus.
Yeah?
I think his outfit looks... If you could do that
Really?
properly, like if someone had the ability to help me to make a proper Varus outfit, that would look sick.
Yeah? What about you, Skimmy? Would you just do... I think yours was on point, honestly. I think you just do Mundo again.
I think I'd actually do Mundo. Instead of actually having to pump my arms up with the little floaties from the swimming pool, I'd actually get the real deal. So that'd probably be my one. Run it back, but just get the real aesthetic to show off.
Very true, very true. What about you, Nat?
Coven Morgana 100% all the way, no second thoughts.
Oh, true.
Okay.
Coven
Yeah.
Ari. I'll just do that.
Coven
Yeah.
skinline's pretty goated.
Oh yeah, almost any of them, but definitely Coven Morgana.
There you go. I'd probably go maybe Ruin Shiv. Try that one out. See how that goes. A little bit of that going down. Now let's hear from the pros what they would choose if they got to cosplay one of the League of Legends champs.
Had to cosplay a champion. Probably be something like bulky, like Bard or Nautilus. I think that'd be really funny, just waddling around.
For Smash, I'm gonna cosplay as Viego, but as you can see, I'm a bit chubby, so chubby right now. So I gotta shred a few kilos to look like Viego. But yeah, that's definitely in the works.
Cosplay like Zed or something. Wear some cool assassin clothing and just have the croaky voice scare people, I guess.
Probably be Fiddlesticks or Teemo, just so I can be annoying. Because I can just say I'm being in character.
If I was to cosplay a champ, it'd either have to be Katarina or Gragas. There's no in between.
Ezreal. Easy. I mean, I used to have longer hair, so I used to look a bit more like him. I mean, it used to be like fairly down here, but I cut at the beginning of this year.
Maybe if I were to cosplay something, it might be Lee Sin, because it's the easiest one. I can just top off and just hide my eyes.
Probably Set. I don't know. I love Set. That champion is just like really cool.
Or maybe Talon would be cool. Maybe Yasuo. Probably Yasuo. That's epic. I like that. I like his whole theme.
So I would probably say Braum, but I'd have to go to the gym a lot more, shave my head, get a chest tattoo. It'll be a big commitment, but I reckon Braum would be fun.
I think it's Gragas. He's such a meme to me.
So my favorite champion's Rakan, and I always get shit because I got skinny ass legs. And Rakan is a bird, so he's got skinny ass legs. So I'd probably have to be Rakan.
It'll probably be one of the girls like Ari or Caitlyn, just like sneaky. I wish I had the body for Braum. Pool party Braum. That's a Chad skin.
If I was able to reconstruct the Bladed Ruin King, absolutely Viego.
I would want to cosplay probably Jhin, because I like Jhin a lot.
Set is cool, and maybe I don't have that much muscle, but it's cool. I want to, yeah.
Ari, which is quite weird, but my name is also Ari. But I'm not sure how well I'd pull off the sexy fox girl look, so I might need to choose something else.
I don't know, I really like Lucian's look, so probably Lucian.
Maybe Bard. I think his charms are cute. I can probably throw them at someone.
I've never cosplayed a champion. But when I had longer hair, I could do Aphelios maybe.
Ezreal. I think Ezreal's a really sick character, so.
Irelia. I mean, I'd figure out a way. I just like playing that champion way too much. I think everything about it is just so cool.
Cogmal. It'll have to be probably a two-person, but for example, someone has to be the tail and then on the front. I think it's just super cool. I don't know. It'll be like a lion dance thing. I don't know. It'll just be super cool.
Always good to hear from the pros what they think is going to happen. I really like that Cupcake was going to fully commit to the bit and get a chest tattoo. I think that, you could probably use a permanent marker or an unpermanent marker and, maybe draw something on. However, before we do jump into today's match discussion, we do have some from the fans, or I believe this time it's from the mums. So let's have a quick look at what's been happening on the Twitter sphere. We do have Donna Hamer. So this is, I think, the Chazinator's mum, which is the Sanctum Chaz at Mez and at LCO. Ajax is ready in front of the big screen to watch the boys take the win at Pentanet GG. Bring it on. So looks like Ajax is ready to watch some solid League of Legends. So good to have him in the audience this evening. And we do have another tweet as well from the one, the only Meredith Pavone. So PGG Nami is in position. What
That is so
is that her watching
adorable.
position? Why is she putting her hands up? What?
It's cheering. She's putting hands up.
Oh, yeah.
Go PGG.
True.
Woo.
You know, I was just thinking Donna's pet Ajax. I know that Ajax is a hero in Greek mythology, but I cannot get out of my head Ajax spray and wipe. But it's just like any time I see Ajax, I just think of the spray and wipe.
Don't you just love a good jingle? You know, they just get stuck in your
Yeah,
head.
it's
However, it is time to jingle on, move on, and talk about the game. Now, before we get to discuss what's going on, again, we have the players' insight into what both the teams think of one another before this game today.
Us and Direwolves are the most experienced teams out of all the playoff teams. Direwolves have a bit of a gaping hole in their top lane, and yeah, not too worried about Direwolves.
I think Pentanet are probably the most well-rounded team with the strongest fundamentals, and I think that makes them really scary in a best of 5. To ensure a win against Pentanet, you need to take advantage of their weak early game, so that's where we'll be punishing them tonight.
I think their experience might carry them for a few games. I think it'll go to like 4 games.
The biggest difference will be in mid-jungle. For our team, mid-jungle is a really big focal point. There's no doubt we're the underdog in this series, but I'm too good to be 3-0'd, so I'll be taking it to 5 games.
Shock, I hope you can do your best to carry the boys on your back, because it's going to be quite a heavy game for you. Best of luck.
If Pentanet want to look for fights in the early game against Direwolves, we'll be happy to oblige them.
That's some great use of that terminology. So apparently there is a gaping hole in Direwolf's top lane. I think he meant to say maybe they're going to be getting gapped hole. I don't know. He could have just spelt it wrong and pronounced it wrong. I'm pretty bad at word pronunciation. I think it's Pentanet for the first team that we're going to be having a quick look at here, Russ.
True. Yeah. Let's bring up that name. Nothing changed in the roster here. If you did see on PGG's socials, just quietly, they were setting an alarm for Praetor to wake up. He didn't respond, so we might have Dinah playing today in the AD. No, not at all. They definitely are just memeing. The tweet exists, but Praetor should be starting today. And for PGG, this is the first time that we have seen them through the playoffs run, so that they will have had a bit of time to, to really assess the state of the meta. They've had a couple of good drafts last time we saw them, and overall this is definitely the favorites that you would say coming into this best of 5. However, with the recency, we know Direwolves are definitely a powerhouse in their own right. And the thing that, to me, separates PGG from the rest of the herd is their flexibility through top lane, and the fact that Chaz has started to diversify into some, bruiser-style champions, which only aids to that even further. The willingness for Pabu to play weird things in the jungle, and the fact that you get, I'm going to say, a degree of consistency from the bottom lane of Pentanet.gg. They are going to play the same win or lose, it feels like. I think that aids really nicely to the best of 5s that we get from them.
Yeah, I'm keen to see who is going to be their win condition for this series. If it's going to be one person across the whole series like we kind of saw yesterday. We had some standout performers, namely for Direwolves, it was only yesterday. And keen to see if he's going to be able to bring that in, or if it, is going to be a bit of a team effort, because we can see a lot of that coming in from Pentanet as well. Are we going to get, Pabu and his merry men? Are we going to get Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch? Who bloody knows with this gang of boys? However, we're going to talk Direwolves quickly before we jump into that pre-game interview. So, Skimmy, you want to run me through this team? We saw them yesterday. They were looking pretty good, weren't they?
Yes, they were. I mean, it was a really convincing 3-0. I mean, if you look at some of the stats to talk about it, they had insane leads across their counterparts in order, and it's probably the strongest start they've had to playoffs in a hot minute. So, whilst they're being critical, and for good reasons too, about sort of the experience put together on this roster, and it's had its ups and downs, and questions raised about Claire's ability to play the top lane. He, in particular, as well as Only, really showed up in that series. I feel like he was feeling, pretty confident in himself, making decisions to jump in 4v5 contest fights, look to play the side lanes, and the communication was there for the rotation. So I think there's obviously some key champions that have to be respected here and have this, beautiful 100% win rate on. But going into a team like Pentanet, I think we're going to see a little bit of variation in the draft, because I don't think we've seen too much different from Direwolves. I feel like they've been quite comfortable in their comfort picks. But if it's anything to go by what Shock mentioned in that little teaser there, then if it is going to go to a 5-game banger, then we might get to see something spicy on 11-15.
I'm hoping that we certainly get to do so and get to see some of that. However, look, head-to-head, these teams, I think PGG had the 2-1 throughout the split, or was it 3-0 against Direwolves?
It's 2-1.
2-1, okay, so Direwolves have managed to at least get a game off them, but in the form that they're currently in, I'm very, very scared for Pentanet, you know. So coming out of yesterday, there's some more matches that Direwolves have had to play, but I guess on the other side of the coin, you got Pentanet, who was able to sit back and take notes on what was happening, what was not working for Direwolves, and maybe establishing the ways in. Of course, they already said in the video we saw before that there was a gaping hole at top, so let's see if there's going to be a lot of focus put towards that top lane for Pentanet. And I heard from a bird, Witherby, who usually gets announced by your boy Jubes, who's not here this evening, so I'll do it, that there is an interview ready now.
Yes, there is. I'm going to be joined by Chaz and Cupcake. Thank you both so much for joining me. Now, Cupcake, we saw you guys playing yesterday, but I want to know, what's the atmosphere like down in Direwolves coming into this best of 5?
We're definitely confident. We've been preparing a lot for PGG as well as Order, like the whole of the week of practice leading up to today. So yeah, we're confident. We're ready to get to work tonight and hopefully have a good series.
That is a question I was going to ask. You know, you guys are doing 2 best of 5s essentially back to back. Has there been enough time in between that best of 5 and this one to kind of really, I guess, get in the mindset of versing PGG?
Right, yeah, like I said, we were preparing for both teams like concurrently throughout the week, and we spent a lot of time for both, so we're definitely adequately prepared for anything that PGG can throw at us tonight.
Interesting. Jazz, over on PGG, you know, how are you guys feeling, and what are you going to be throwing Direwolves' way tonight?
We're shaking in our boots after watching them 3-0 yesterday. We don't think we got it in us to take these beasts down, but we're going to try our best. Hopefully take at least one game off and see what's going from there. Now, we're very confident. We don't think that this game or this series will last very long. We're already looking to book our vacation to the finals and probably see peace. But we'll see. We'll see what Direwolves can do. We're hoping that they can make it a series at least, because we'll be showing up.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are always showing up. But you say that, you know, Direwolves were playing yesterday, right? You got to see that. You mentioned it yourself. What sort of notes have you taken away from that one that you think could give you an advantage today?
I don't think we learned anything crazy. Like everything that they're showing, I guess we've seen before. Like the mage bot lane was probably the biggest surprise, but that's something we've already known about. I guess we're just more so just focusing on ourselves. As long as we show up and we do what we have been practicing, what we're good at, then we'll be able to take the series. So yeah, I guess we just got some draft information. Definitely had a few conversations about things like that, but there's nothing too crazy that we didn't already know.
In the little video piece we saw just before, we heard Deco talk about that, you know, Direwolves have a little bit of a gap in that top lane, but from you personally, where do you think the advantage for PGG is?
Well, I think that we have pretty outstanding, I guess, laners throughout the board. Whether you're getting leads in the early game or not, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a better player. I definitely think that there is a gaping hole in the top lane, as someone said. But I think that our mid to late game, I guess, individual performances are just outstanding compared to Direwolves. There's a lot of clutch players on this team, and playing from gold deficits isn't an issue for us. Whereas I think if Direwolves is going to win, they're going to need to play with the gold lead. So I definitely think our mid to late game is the star point for us. If any team takes us there, it's going to be pretty hard for them to win. Obviously, we've had a few shitty losses lately from the late game, so hopefully, we won't have any of those again. But for the most part, our mid late game is very good. So I think that's our strong point. I don't necessarily think there's an individual that's Marky gets 4 out, he's going to win the game for you. It's kind of everyone just performs really well in those situations. So yeah, I think that's just our team strong point, just the mid to late game.
Alrighty. On the side of Direwolves, then, hearing that coming out of Chaz, do you guys think that you're going to be able to take them late game? And if not, where do you think your advantage is, Cupcake?
I mean, honestly, it's a bit of a curse now for teams that verse us, and they think they have better players in every role. It feels like it's a bit of a meme. So Yeah, I mean, I think we stylistically match up pretty well or pretty similarly to PGG, in that we have very good preparation and we work as a team very well. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight either way.
I think so too. I look forward to it. But before I let you guys go, last question. Predictions for this series. How many games is it going to go to? Cupcake, if you want to start.
I'll go 3-1 for Direwolves.
Okay, and Chaz?
It'll be 3-0, faster than yesterday's first match.
Okay, wow, that is a lot of confidence. I love to hear it. Thank you both so much for joining me, and good luck in this series.
Thank you.
Thanks, Seth.
If you told me that the playoff games, the playoff days were going to be shorter than the usual days we have here on the DoorDash LCO, I'd tell you you're a liar. But with the passion and a little bit of banter coming through there, and look, both the teams that we have here, I think that it's going to be one of two things. We're either going to get a couple of very long games tonight, or one team's going to just have that more consistent day, and it is actually going to be another one of those 3-0s. Kind of hope that it is going to be a 3-0 because Twitch chat, you did very well for me yesterday in the prediction. Speaking of predictions, let's bring those up and have a quick chit-chat on where we are all leaning for this match this evening. So already a split on the first page, and you both think it's going to 5.
Well, thank you, Skibby, for giving me a chance to come back.
It's true. It is true.
I did go 5 games, though, so I'm really not confident.
Yeah, I appreciate how you went for order and then they got 3-0'd. It was a pretty good time, but yeah, no, I'm thinking, look, I feel like a lot of people are writing Direwolves off. I feel like they certainly are having a much better start to this second split. I feel like they should be a top 2 contender. I feel like I've gone out of the realms of possibility to say, you know, upset the wagon card of a perfect year. We had the perfect year for Legacy in 2020. We could have ourselves the perfect year for Pensnet.
True.
I've just decided, let's just, you know, add a bit of spice into the mix, maybe see if something different could happen. This is a potential grand final, and it was like what we saw last year with Pensnet taking on Peace. They ran it all the way back and they had a rematch. So I'm thinking this could be a 5-game banger like we saw that time.
Ooh, I really hope so. Now let's jump on to page 2. Nat, what have you decided to go for here? You're on the Direwolves hype train too. You are? Okay.
Yeah, Skimmy and I put in our predictions almost simultaneously, and they happen to be the exact same. Was tempted to change it to a 3-0, but I guess, as Rusty says, I just don't have the confidence that they're going to take it 3-0. But just looking back at yesterday, right, I think it might be a recency bias. I haven't seen PGG play in over a week now, but we saw Direwolves play yesterday. One thing I've always praised PGG for is their team fighting. They've always had that advantage over every other team. No one's really matched them on that, but yesterday it felt that Direwolves really brought that. They had that synergy. They had the team fighting. They were just moving so well together that I think that those two things are just going to, I guess, like both of them play it so well, it's going to be so much closer than people think. And that's why I think it's going to go to 5. And it's, you know, Direwolves just having played more recently, having that advantage and coming out on top.
I need to point out that we have a very good split there as well. Not only is Elfish Guy going for the 3-0, we got Judes going for the 3-1. So if Pensnet wins, someone's going to be getting those bonus points. It's going to be pretty damn spicy. However, something else that's pretty damn spicy is you guys at home. Did you know that today, if you are a big fan of pizza, you actually get 50% off your pizza if you use DoorDash to buy your pizza? Use your code DDLCO. DDLCO, you know, DoorDash LCO is probably what it stands for, but DDLCO as the promo code, and you will be able to get 50% off of your pizza order. So make sure you exclamation DoorDash in chat, or exclamation pizza as well, and it'll send you on the right way to make it happen. Of course, we do have one quick tweet to have a look at before we do jump into the game, and it's someone that's actually sent something in that I asked for, which is a prediction. Thank you very much, Raph, for this one. Pradith now has 6 fingers. That's fine, but at the same time, it is Raph's prediction of 3 fingers for 3 PGG wins, so he thinks that it's going to be a 3-zip to Pensnet as well with Elfish Guy there.
That's the creepiest hand.
It's so creepy, but props for the Photoshop. You know, he went that extra effort to Photoshop in that finger.
Yeah, very, very good job there. Now, if anyone actually needs a graphic designer, please at @osraf_lol, and I'm sure he can pick up a sick job from that. So not only do you get your tweet shouted out, you might get a job out of this too, because I am, of course, one of the best salesmen you've ever met, and I've never sold a thing in my life except this cup of water. What's the thing where it's like, sell me this cup of water, and then you light someone's tie on fire and you put it in it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's a saying. He could sell ice to an Eskimo. It's like he's so good at selling that he would sell something that nobody needs.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, sell me this pen. Nat, how about we do that? Nat, sell me this pen.
For a low price of $2.99, you can buy this pen and you can write down awesome notes about how PGG are going to lose against Direwolves in this upcoming match.
Oh, and I think there's going to be a lot of action. Yep, you sold it. I'm going to use this pen, even though I already own it. I could have had it for free. Anyway, I did hear from the big man Witherby that Champ Select is ready, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Here it is, this upper bracket match. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, Mac, because the winner of this one will just streamline advance into the grand finals. Not a bad way to start off a second half of the year here, Rusty, as we'll get to see what kind of adaptations really get made here in the drafting phase. Clear directions last time, not so much pertaining to the meta per se, but very much team focused, and we're already seeing that big shift up here as well.
Yeah, a lot of differences in the ban phases between days. One big thing, Skimmy, as well is, PGG against Direwolves, it's a completely different beast to Order against Direwolves. In terms of priority of champions, yes, but also in terms of play style.
Yeah.
So definitely the champions will chop and change between days. Even though we've seen a lot of what Direwolves can offer, we haven't honestly seen them push to have to bring out new strategies yet, which is in their favor, right? Come best of fives. PGG, we haven't seen them in best of fives this split, so again, that favors them. There's a lot of information we'll gain as the series progresses. The one thing that is consistent though, Skimmy, get that Syndra out of here. Shock's not allowed to have it.
Yeah, and I was really curious about, what happened in the jungle position, because you mentioned Viego being a crucial pick. It was 100% pick ban yesterday, but it does mean if that's banned away, you can't ban two junglers, otherwise you're really leaving holes to be filled elsewhere. So as a result, it's going to be Only that gets himself the perfect Xin Zhao. Looking to try and retain that 100% win rate on it. But a very strong response back from Pentanet, with the Rakan continuing to dazzle and impress. The charm is just so clutch in multiple situations, as we saw displayed last night. But there's that Lee Sin too for the playmaking.
We have seen Bard from Direwolves into Rakan. It was successful. I think they won at level 1. That's not something that you expect to see happening to Praetor and Decoy, however, so maybe a more neutral state down in bottom lane. And confidence, right, coming out of Cupcake. Picks one of his best champions. Confidence out of Only. Picks the Xin Zhao straight away. No hesitation. They know, and the composition from this point onwards is grounded in a known quantity. Beyond that, they get to experiment. They get to pick different things. Pensanet.gg on the other side here prioritized the Lee Sin with the LeBlanc, so that confirms not only where the Lee Sin's most likely going in the hands of Pavu, Skimmy, but also gets rid of one of the champions that's good into LeBlanc for 2v2 skirmishing and gives them bans on mid laners. So again, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, I really like being on red side right now in competitive League of Legends. I think PGG, having side select in game 1, have chosen correctly, and I like what they've gone for so far.
Certainly, if they get themselves a strong mid jungler, they can look to try and trade blows with the likes of Only and Shock, who had a very standout performance. They've been pivotal to success in recent weeks here for the Direwolves, and you can see it in the bans, you can see it in the focus, you can see it in the gameplay itself. So no surprises here that Pentanet are going to continue to ban away those champions like the Zoe that got playtime, also the Lissandra that we've seen as a reliable counter pick into the LeBlanc. So really forcing out Shock's champion pool to see, all right, how are you going to look to continue to put your forwards, your first foot forwards, and be the driving factor, the catalyst to get your team into the series.
Tristana going to be banned here as well. Skimmy, definitely one of the highest priority AD carries coming around through the world in playoffs. Definitely risen in priority, but not everyone's going to be Danny. We'll see what happens if Tristana is left up and available. The other thing worth noting here is that Na was picked third. They banned the Ornn away to try and get rid of one of the free scaling tanks to go up against it, but you're not going to ban all of them, as Pavu's definitely got some T-Swift on in the background, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's certainly vibing out. That's your Q Lee Syndrome banger playlist. Working overtime there. So let's see what else does get locked in. I like the Tahm Kench ban. I know we're just referring back to the very start, because I feel like Bipap is probably the best Tahm in the league ever since it was changed around. And that is going to be your final pick. With a Ziggs coming in R5 or B5, it's a little bit crazy to me that you're seeing a Ziggs played this late. But there is the Vayne, and this is a pocket pick already so early on that we've not seen in a hot minute. But Praetor is one of a select few that is very keen to play the Vayne.
It's interesting because Xayah is just available. Instead of going for the Xayah Rakan duo, which is more of an enabling tool for Rakan more than anything else, does work pretty well into Na, does work pretty well into Bard. it's not going to be picked. They're going to go for definitely a higher DPS option on a single target. It has a lot more individual outplay, of course, in the Vayne, having the invisibility when you use your ultimate, but also a champion that does not scale as free, right? There is no tool that realistically keeps the Vayne in laning phase besides the tumble to dodge Zig's abilities or Zig's spells. There's no long-range farming mechanism that a Vayne has. It's a risky decision. And I think that the way that this game has to be played out by Pentanet.gg is winning through your mid 2v2 skirmishes, playing towards bot lane, and just leaving Biopanther stranded on an island. He's going to be reenacting Castaway up there, making friends with volleyballs, just to try and get through laning phase, because he's going to have nothing if they want that Vayne to survive.
And I think it's the whole reason they put him on a champion like the sign, right? So he can literally be a participant, you know, hit the TP button down to bot lane as he's done time and time again. We've seen it as early as level 2 to find those ganks first of all, and look to not only find those, you know, first bloods, but allow the lane state to be so desirable they can look to pick up an early Drake and sort of punish from there. So I'm very excited to see that we do have, you know, 2 key champions for the Direwolves that have remained 100% perfect win rate, but right at the gates here, Pentanet have thrown down the gauntlet, said very strong mid jungle. If we can get over that, you know, initial speed bump, this Vayne is going to be able to pop off mid. There's a lot of stuns and CCs and potential range disadvantages you have to, you know, play into, but if you're looking at somebody to pop off, you'd imagine Praetor is the man for it.
Absolutely. I mean, Praetor's definitely the person who's been in pretty good form the past couple of weeks of the LCO regular season as well. We haven't seen him in best of 5s yet, but we will very shortly. On the other side of the coin here, Ryze being picked into the LeBlanc. I think Ryze actually does trade quite well into LeBlanc. I'm not fully sold on 2v2s. I think it's about who kicks them off first, Skimmy, as to who wins.
Here we go for the very first best of 5 of the night, the only one of the night, the upper bracket with a chance to qualify straight into the grand finals. And I do get a chance to welcome back PGG's very own Charlie, the coach, to talk about how the boys have been faring recently. First seed, a bye round to start. What did you make of the games last night?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised on how quick all the games were. Hopefully we'll be able to follow that trend tonight, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind a more entertaining series for the fans. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we have got some different champions already that we can obviously dive into in just a second. How would you rate your form coming into best of 5s compared to this time last split?
We've definitely been having a lot of like specific best of 5 practice leading up to this match, and we played a lot more best of 5s at MSI. There was like a mini meta that developed at that tournament, so we kind of have taken our learnings from that, and I like placed it on the current patch as well. The patch is very boring. That we're on at the moment, but we've tried to spice things up a little bit this game. We've predicted a few of their key picks. Like if we leave certain picks open versus Direwolves, you know they'll just pick them, so it's very easy to prepare against them. And yeah, this Vayne on 5, like he's going to be building a Wit's End. They have 2 AP carries, and he will be 1v9ing.
And that's exactly where I want to go, right? The fact that we got ourselves a Vayne so early on into this one. I'm always curious about the perception or the sort of the strategy coming out of coaches, whether it be play standard or already throw a curveball nice and early and try and get into the enemy's head. We saw it be so successful last night. Are there any concerns apart from itemization that the Vayne may have a bit of low range or could be punished in the early stages?
I mean, I think we're going to get priority in the bot lane, to be honest with you, just because we have so much kill threat on them with the Bard being in the bot lane. Like, Bard's not the strongest laner. Rakan's not either, but Vayne should be able to navigate it pretty easily. He goes shield bow, so he'll be able to get some lifesteal nice and early, but yeah, I think there is a range advantage on the enemy bot lane, but we should be able to have enough engage tools with the Sion and the Rakan that we just close the gap really quickly and just take the fight to them.
Fantastic. All right, mate. Well, I'm going to throw you on the spot right here. This time, last time, we saw a 3-2 between yourselves and Peace. We've seen a bit of spicy talk between Cupcake as well as Chaz coming into this one. Is there a number you've got in mind? You know, you mentioned you don't want it to be a 3-0, but you're thinking 3-1, 3-2?
Oh, I mean, I think if the drafts go like this, it will be a 3-0, but I'm expecting Direwolves to come out with something. I know a couple of the coaches, and I'm friends with their jungler, so I'm hoping that they can take a game off us and it'll be a 3-1.
Beauty, mate. Well, pleasure to talk to you as always, Charlie. Wish you boys the best of luck in the series.
No worries. Thanks, Kimmy.
You love to hear it though, don't you? I know the coach, you know, I'm friends with the coach, I know the jungler. I hope they can take one from us. I hope they're adequate enough to take a single map from the series. We'll see how it goes. Looking at the bottom lane that you were talking about as well with Charlie, priority is still belonging to Direwolves, so not exactly what he was saying. However, the reason for that is the way that the junglers have path, right? You've got Pabu playing bot to top side clear, and you've got Only doing top to bottom. He's now at the enemy blue buff, and he's also been spotted. So if there's more kill threat in bottom lane for PGG, that's fine and all, but you have to be super particular with when you're timing that and how you're playing it, and you do have to kind of sack that priority early. So maybe not exactly the way they wanted it to play out, but it's fine. They're not losing, right? They've got a longsword Vayne with a million potions, 3 potions scaling through the laning phase where it's tough, where that extra range can be annoying. They'll get the lifesteal, they'll survive, and they'll persevere. And one thing that we have to mention, Skimmy, is that this matchup has been seen over in the LPL. And one of the main reasons that it is a good pick for the Vayne is if you've got roaming supports, there's no way Ziggs 1v1's Vayne. If they ever get an engage angle, Vayne just wins, right? Most of the time. So much outplay and so much dueling threat and free scaling for team fighting. So lots of positives there.
It's an interesting talking point because we have seen it be so prevalent with the rise of Ziggs coming back into the bot lane and the fact that people are pairing it with Ezreal and so on and saying, all right, support's off to go roam. And if anything, maybe that looks to try and put a bit of a headache in Cupcake's, mind as to, well, I'm playing bot, I want to roam, I want to try and match what Deku is going to be looking to achieve. I want to try and make sure that the mid jungle doesn't fall, behind in our regard. And you're going to have to pick those battles wisely. Otherwise, as you say, suddenly Vayne early on finds a solo kill, gets an item, and you come to mid game, you're kind of terrified.
That's the one thing you don't want to do is give any kind of early advantages to a Vayne. You don't want to do a similar thing with a Ziggs, to be fair. Any kind of early snowballing for a Ziggs would have accelerated perhaps the Lost Chapter purchase, perhaps the Luden's purchase. And then he's just an absolute nightmare, throwing ultimates off cooldown. Just quickly checking in with mid lane, a place that we haven't seen too much action in yet. The reason that we have to talk about this, Skimmy, is because the kill threat is always going to exist through mid laners. PGG definitely have kill threat in bot, yes, but you're expecting supports to find opportunities to roam, and you're expecting junglers, which are high damage junglers, to be looking towards their mid laners where gank setup actively exists, right? Ryze has Rune Prison, LeBlanc has Chains. This is definitely a point of contention in this first game.
It certainly is. Yes, we're going to see snippets of it between both junglers, no doubt. Already interesting to note is the itemization here for Biopanther. Rushed himself a Bramble Vest, given it's a double AD topside for Direwolf. So just making sure he's going to be a little bit more topped up and healthy and able to weather the storm if he was to find himself in hot water. But it is a sign at the end of the day, right? So you're not going to feel too concerned to really try and bully him out so far. And given it is a Nah, look to try and go hyper and chip away from afar, but you're just waiting, really, for that initial moment where these games will spike. You can see the fans at home believe that it should be Pentanet favored, and I wonder, and I'm sure we can speak to Farmer later on, whether they themselves actually feel like they're the underdog in this series.
Yeah, I would expect, and if we were to just look back on the video that we had, Skimmy, before this series, the way Shock was phrasing the game definitely had the feeling that he believes he's the underdog. It's a different ball game to what we saw from them yesterday. I wouldn't blame them for feeling that way, right? You're against the Split 1 champions, MSI representatives, and first seed through the regular season of Split 2. But with their recent form, perhaps there is an air of confidence, right? Beyond that, not only are we underdogs, maybe we favor ourselves, right? You back yourself, and it has a different meaning altogether.
First Dragon of the night, it's going to be an Ocean one. Plenty of damage to share about, and just like that, Pabu realizes we don't want to take this 50-50, but only says thanks for the leash, going to start things off. Guncup going to land down the minefield, but it gets stolen away as Pabu jumps back in and takes it for his own. First blood goes out. It's Cupcake that picks up the kill, but not before a trade takes place. Pabu getting the Dragon, but also getting a kill.
Yeah, Guncup, I believe, just flashes at the last second to get out of the Drake pit where he was stuck. At the end of the day, it is just a 1-for-1 trade, but the Dragon goes the way of PGG. First blood, a little bit of extra gold, unfortunately, goes into the pockets of Cupcake. And for, all the carry players out there, you'll be upset your Bard got it. For me, the Bard player, that's the best possible person to get it on, because you're closer to your boots too, and you're closer to being a Bard. So ultimately, it's still good. Pabu, the biggest winner of that trade overall, and a good teleport coming out of Biopanther makes the difference because he's able to get back to top lane and really, doesn't miss anything. Claire has teleport still up, so the next couple minutes crucial for Direwolves and PGG, but not bad from PGG themselves.
Not bad at all, as you say. It was a big wave crashing from Kleb. He's able to salvage that and not feel as if he's falling behind. But now you have to wonder, when will Direwolves make their move? Because they have double teleport versus PGG having burnt both. So there is going to be an interesting handshake. You'd imagine that Shop will go back to Shop, pick up some items, and TP back too, as you can see in your screen right there. But that is going to be the trade now. Whilst PGG pick up the first Herald, Direwolves going to redeploy top side and go for the Herald instead.
Yeah, just looking to take the objective trade. Even though it is on Vision, there's no real opportunity for contest here, especially with Claire timing his Mega Gnar, playing with priority as well towards it. And Chaz, you know, there was a possibility he runs towards the Herald side, but it's clear they're not looking to contest. He goes and places deeper vision near the Raptors, still hovering around mid. Looking at the 2v2, if a Q hits,
He does hit, locked in place, in jumps the Xin Zhao, but a nice little kick knocks both up and prevents any further trading.
I mean, ultimately, I think that was... If Pub is looking for a kill there, he doesn't need to throw the Sonic Wave when he did, because that did go wide. And you can use your W, right? You safeguard 2 Chaz once the chains had hit, and suddenly you're in with a chance. So that might have been a kill that went missing. At the end of the day, not going to be anything other than ultimates expended between junglers. Nothing more.
Nothing more at this stage. I'm very curious, really, how the series is going to evolve, because we saw pretty different styles yesterday. We saw the first game between Direwolves and Order be a very explosive one. Plenty of drama, certainly one not for the faint-hearted. Plenty of times for both teams to potentially end that one. But it felt like from that moment onwards, the series really came into its own, where the mental of one team, the mental fortitude was there to close things out. I wonder if we're going to see a similar situation here, or if it is going to be much the case of a battle of experience, be it current and old.
You know, one thing that is often overlooked is the fact that all teams practice best of 5s. You know, I think if anyone's practicing best of 3s, it's just because of time constraints. Now, we might have to hold the rest of that thought as Pub is going to have a crack here as this wave crashes. It is a cannon wave. I don't think Ziggs does have ultimate, actually. You can use the ult.
Going to come out, and it's going to guarantee the entire wave is gone. And it was a very fragile plate remaining, but it has been secured. Pabu is going to go for the reset, so just shadowing his bot lane to ensure that wave could connect.
But yeah, the big thing, right, most teams practice in best of 5s, so coming to playoffs it's almost a comfort zone. All teams, you know, have to learn how to adapt between games in scrims on the fly. It should be the hallmark of a good coach and good team, is the ability to adapt correctly. The difference between your practice and stage is very obviously one's practice and one's on stage. So that mental fortitude gets brought into question if the loss, you know, leaves you stumped. If it was just a loss, you'd feel pretty bad about it, and can definitely affect the forthcoming games.
Well, there is the Herald summoned. Worth noting that yesterday, Direwolves got every single Herald in their series against Order, sacrificing the first dragon to make that possible. Did put them in a very strong position by the 15-minute mark. They were up by 3k across that entire series. It's a pretty huge margin to consider when you compare how the Chiefs and Peace faced off against each other, and it was only a fragile 200 gold lead by that 15-minute mark. So, looking in fine form. Nothing to really blow this game out of the water just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll necessarily get any crazy starts to this game. Just, again, like, if we really wanted to stock take champions and compositions, Vayne and Ziggs are so happy just freely scaling. Rise is a tier user, right, who, by building tier, which is not seen in every single Rise game, for what it's worth, is showing that he's comfortable scaling in his matchup. You know, go the Merc Treads, go the tier, have that extra mana pool there to just survive using spells on wave because you don't have priority. Probably did hit that.
Yeah, Cupcake could be in trouble. Forced to respect and flash away. It is the Audacious Charge, but instantly the Dragon's Rage to knock him back. A Tempered Fate, both can jump away from it successfully. And then there is a TP from BioPanther. Now, Clave's already there, so it wasn't going to be a numbers advantage that could favor them, but now everybody's come together, a full 5v5 for the second Dragon of this game.
Yeah, it seems like we are focusing our team fights around objectives, around the Drake specifically, and as they head towards the river proper, you've got Ignite from BioPanther with his Unsealed Spellbook. There was a moment there where I was thinking, well, the fact that he switched after teleporting, it's clear they want to fight this one, but they choose to back away. And I think just a little bit too much expended, right, on the initial attempt of a pick. With the Lee Sin not having ultimate, Chaz not having his Mimic up as well. It does make things a little bit more difficult, and just staunched out of the area, really, more than anything else. So they're just going to concede the Drake and business as usual, right? Why risk losing a fight at the Dragon when you're happy and confident in your scaling?
Scanning seems to be the answer, because they've already flipped themselves to putting the Ziggs mid. Whether or not they're going to look to put him back bot lane again, we can see them parving that way, but he needs to be careful because Decoy is laying in the tri-bush. They're going to try and be a bit of a pest and force Gun Crab the long way here. I was wondering if they were going to flip their bot lane to the top side and try and find an advantage of their own, play for that second Herald, then play for the Satchel Charger and race to 3 turrets, but they're continuing to play here.
I think you are spot on with what they could do. The question is, if PGG are aware of that, they bring the Vayne as well as the Rakan over. Is that the skirmish that you want to take, right? Or are you actually preferential to having your top side take the Herald fight? You know, have Cupcake roam up and isolate the Ziggs, isolate the Vayne down in bottom. And I think that's something that they could definitely consider. Flipping the map is kind of committal, and as a result of map flips, you often lose out in waves and start to fall behind in a couple of CS here and there for the time it takes to recall and walk to different areas. It does feel like we're just going to get the 4v4 supports come up.
There's the knockup to start things off, but that's a stun. Parbu locked in place, the Tempered Fate as Cupcake's in trouble, but Decoy's already got that charm ready. There's the knockback. Crescent Guard forced to flash in to try and get inside that danger zone. It is going to be Cupcake that's going to fall on down, who was fragile to start with. Sonic Wave doesn't connect, but there's a safeguard away. Now turning attention on the Zin's out of the shot. That finds one. Full set the clone. Low and flashing. Forcing the kill across. There's a double kill for the Rise. They're going to turn things around here as Direwolf's going to hunt down the third, the Realm Walk, to cut off any retreat path. And now Biopanther caught on the wrong side of this river. Forced to ult back to the wave. And Direwolves will take that trade any day of the week.
I mean, TikTok Shock just goes absolutely berserk in the fight. You know, gets himself a 2-0-1, ults in to even force the ultimate away from Biopanther. That was nothing short of messy from Pentanet.gg, and if we get the replay, you'll get to see exactly why. But standard, just practiced good skirmishing here by the Direwolves squad. It starts with a pick onto Cupcake, who ults to get rid of any kind of Sonic Wave opportunity to pick him, Guardian or proc. And he's going to be able to, you know, buy so much time that Shock's able to come in, only is able to come in and do damage. Decoy leaves as Parbu goes back in with a ward hop. Chaz comes back in as well. And it ends up being the messiest. Like, I'm certain that Decoy had his W up. He could have maybe contributed to that one, and they might have been able to turn it into a trade. But Claire's able to just walk over, pick up a kill, and Shock just goes insane, hitting all of his abilities.
Gonna feel very happy with that one, because he's now found himself with a bounty on his head. Already 5 stacks on that Dark Seal that he'd acquired just moments prior. Rise accelerated. Certainly a scary prospect. Felt a little bit uncharacteristic, really, from the side of PGG. We know that they're a fantastic skirmishing squad. But perhaps feeling like the deed was already done, that they could disengage away and fight battles elsewhere.
I mean, that is exactly the start that they need, right? You want to come into Pentanet.gg, a team that we can tout and that are hallmarked as very good mid to late team fighters. You want to be able to get early leads. You know, one risk is always Shock falling behind. You know, Order were able to do that yesterday. It was never going to get them the win, but the reason for that is Direwolves were too clean in their mid-late, and now they're up against a different beast. So it's important they get those early leads. That's exactly what they're doing right now. They should be feeling supremely confident coming into this third Dragon. For the Cloud Soul, it'll take quite a while to get to that point as both teams have traded a Drake, but this should really be a free Dragon, so they could play for Herald Summons before instead.
Whether PGG will be willing to sacrifice that one. You can see now Praetor, he's already picked himself up the cloak, well on his way to getting that second item spike in the Wit's End, which could have a huge factor in this game, given that both Shock and Guncrab are the recipients of the early cash injection. They are setting themselves up a trap here, forcing Cupcake to face check, but he won't get knocked up. Sonic Wave is there. He's being tagged. But the boots are Moby. They're doing their work.
Those Nikes are on. You can't stop him from running away. Herald going to be summoned. Maybe not the whole turret. Probably a couple of autos away from it. It's not going to be a full health charge either, actually. So even less damage. Dial's just placing it, I think, because it's about that time. Prioritizing perhaps having the sweeper there for only as well. Pretty important when you are looking at objectives. And PGG are not going to be playing towards the other side of the map. They're not going to be trading, you know, the two jungle camps that exist, the Gromp, the Wolves. They're not going to put priority over the blue buffers at spawns as well from the Direwolves side. They kind of keep PGG at bay here. You know, they keep a bit of emphasis on Pabu hovering Chaz to make sure he's safe and really buy themselves the whole map as a point of control. Direwolves playing pretty well so far.
Certainly are. Zex hasn't fallen down in the 1v1 despite the supports coming into their own and starting to roam. It's worth noting that Decoy across the entirety of Split 2 has the second most assists in the entire league. A bit of a beast on support. Very good with his recall timings and his ability to set up success elsewhere on the map before he returns back to bot lane. I'd be very interested what the comms are like. Whether or not he's just saying to Pradev, good luck, have fun. I'm going to leave you now for 10 minutes.
Probably about the way that it goes. He'll just be talking to the rest of the team, not to Pradev. You just have fun, bud. Now, actually, towards that, Pradev is about an item away from being very confident in his team fighting, is what I would say. Wits End second is the most likely path for this main. Wits End's just kind of broken at the moment, and Direwolves have this propensity to go for mages, mid, and AD carry. Nice stun, actually. But ultimately, the fact that you've gone for a Bard bottom with a Ziggs and a Rise means that you're very magic damage heavy. Top laner being physical damage is going to be a teleporting member who may not be there in every skirmish or every team fight. And if you do get to sit yourself in side lanes and get the correct lane assignments, this Vayne is going to be a terror to have to deal with. But we're not close to that just yet. You know, we've got the Negatron Cloak. We're working our way to Wits End. That is definitely a break point of fighting here, though, for Pentanet.gg.
Won't be too far away as well for then Chaz to pick up his own Void Staff that Guncrab's already completed. Having not rushed his tier 2 boots, he's got 2 items core completed. Big damage. Even post-mitigation is going to come out and a ton of burst available. And it's going to be interesting to note the top lane contribution because they have been very much farm-focused. Despite a 10 CS gap, it's not that much to harp on about. They're going to be huge beefcakes, fridges as you would call it, Rusty, to set the fight up and break it apart also.
Just absolute fridge freezer units. Transcending your standard fridges, Biopanther come 3 items. He's going to be hard to deal with. He's also one of the 2 main sources of engage for Pentanet.gg. Rakan is obviously going to be a big part of it, but you need to have the follow-up, and he is going to be a big aspect of that. But until such a point, Claire's going to be pretty confident in his 1v1 laning early. Mini form with Divine Sunder will have a pretty good time, ultimately. And Direwolves as a whole now playing towards the top side. Utilizing Shock, definitely a part of their strategy here if they're going to win the next fight.
All TPs available. So the potential if split pushing starts to unravel can be punished and capitalized on. Double Void Staff now here for Direwolves. Lots of damage as they feel confident about their ability. Pushing waves mid and top, looking to try and steal away the jungle too. A lot of false recalls here. Nice bomb, denies 3 members from that recall.
Yeah, good ward actually spotting where he was basing. Maybe not even aware that he was stopping the bases of 3 people. With extra money for the amount of a nuisance that he currently is. Pretty chuffed with that one if you're Direwolves, because that buys you time to either match the resets or get tempo off those resets when you deploy back out onto the map. Just looking at where they would deploy, when you've got Drake up in a minute, you've already secured decent vision around the Baron. It'd be pretty hard for PGG to get into the river without being spotted is the main point. You can redirect a bit of that focus to the easier to gain objective, right? Keep some vision around Baron, secure, they've already got 3 control wards there, around the Dragon.
Yeah.
And once again, get one step closer to that Cloud Soul and part of a major win condition for the team.
I mean, the entire river from top to bottom just belongs to Direwolves right now. So many control wards from every single member. But can PGG get themselves into the lane, forcing mid-priority. Now they're going to try and trim that vision and regain it themselves and look to put up a contest here because there is the Wits End now complete. Second item spikes now being matched here by PGG. And if they don't get baited into a false sense of security here, then we may see them put up a fight this time.
For what it's worth, and you mentioned this, Direwolves rushed Void Staffs on both of their carries, so they're supremely aware of what's going to be happening on the PGG camp. So extra magic penetration is going to be a big deal. I really like that they've gone for this. Now, Direwolves also are not playing towards the dragon. That's how much people care about the Cloud Soul, by the way. The inner turret in top lane is worth, 600 extra gold. The Cloud Soul has some stats, but it's not going to be the be-all, end-all, especially not when they're trading objectives like this. It does mean that most of the emphasis will be sticking around the Baron area. Also very odd in the way that they've been assigning their lanes so far, waiting to see Sion get towards bot lane, the bot side of the map, so that PGG deploy in a more standard manner towards Baron. Right now we've been seeing mostly Chaz down there.
Yeah, he's been stuck in lane so far, farming up a storm, looking to try and get ahead of Shock, but it is almost mind-blowing to me that we're seeing 4 turrets to 0 for the Direwolves so far. They've certainly been finding their moments to shine, finding early success with those Heralds, combining that with the likes of his Ziggs, then making the trade that we literally just saw then, where Claire said, I've got a great lane stay, I can just trade this for a dragon, no harm, no foul. And as a result, Rusty, I mean, you're up by 5,000 gold against a team of this caliber.
Yeah.
You have to be stoked.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's been a very steady incline for Direwolves. It doesn't really reflect through kills. It doesn't even feel like it reflects through CS, but it's 4-0 in turrets. It's obviously going to be a significant amount of gold. The inner turrets being worth gold, think close to 1,000 for each of them. Kratos once again gets caught recalling on vision. But the fact that it's 5,000 at this point, I mean, look at the CS difference between all these players. It doesn't feel that way. And I wonder if that's something that PGG also feel, right? But there is a monster running through the mid lane. Gunkrab's quietly been achieving, and they've got so many turrets that the items speak volumes. 3 completed items for the Ziggs to 2 of Praetor.
What it feels like to me, Rusty, that PGG are hoping that Direwolves continue to split push. They can look to find that pick with the Lee Sin.
It's already hard.
With the
This is
LeBlanc.
just gone.
Direwolves have basically said, well, if you're not going to match us, if you're not going to make any first move, then we're just going to start the Baron down to 4k. Pabu in the area, looking to try and steal this one. They're going to have to try and restrain themselves, because there is Chaz, already taking down only low.
He's kept the Baron going here, kept the aggro on it. Chaz being real cute, but Claire's also Megadar, so they have to show some respect.
It was close. Just for a second, you started to believe that it would have been a 50-50. Direwolves not willing to take that risk.
We almost flipped those burgers, but not game 1. Not just yet. Still very reserved. Non-committal to a lot of activity right now. Direwolves only has got his sights set on Praetor. Pabu wasn't really looking for the fight, nor were the rest of them.
Pabu on his own, when becomes lightning, jumps in just a kick away because he wants to disengage. Maybe a bit of wisdom into the insight here of PGG saying we don't want anything. We're very happy to scale and we want you, Direwolves, to make the first move.
One thing that a lot of people will say, Skimmy, is that Lee Sin does drop off with his scaling. This Lee Sin build obviously has a bit more sustainability and can teamfight pretty well. But realistically, I'm thinking in this game, either he works with LeBlanc and they try and assassinate some backline members, look for Gunkrab. There's also a world where he plays support Lee Sin and just peels for Praetus. Kicking away the threats, definitely something that could be considered, because you can definitely bank on your Vayne's damage come team fights. And Chaz is going to be annoying enough with enough mobility to be able to, keep them distracted in the backlines potentially by himself. So very curious to see how, when it comes to the execution front of this game, how PGG choose to play it out. So far, really none of that yet.
A lot of discussion, a lot of potential, but no full-blown execution just yet. Bipenthet, cycling through those summoner spells, has picked himself up an exhaust. Now, whether or not that's an indication, given that 45 seconds away from another dragon, they want to really bully away Direwolves and say, let's keep these lanes in check. Let's not allow you to pick up a 5th tower.
They're definitely assigned, with the Blanc bot side for fighting and contesting the Drake. Would not be surprised to see PGG once again put their priorities towards it. That was a very sad cannon. Very sad cannon. Direwolves not putting too much emphasis towards it yet, and considering it's up in 20 seconds, we know Direwolves can do an extremely fast Baron. Doesn't shock me to see them putting more emphasis towards the major objective, the prime objective of this game.
Well, top lane is passively pushing. Only is on a deep flank so far. Hasn't been spotted, but now he has. There's a knock-up from Rakan. A Tempered Fate with the anti-synergy between the Ziggs bomb. 3 members get knocked back. Claire with the flash gnaw! Knocks him into the wall, and Bipepper falls to respect and flash away. Magic Journey, free pop through it. An ult from Nasan, and that is all she wrote.
There may not be synergy between the Bard and the Ziggs, but it doesn't matter because the stun from Cupcake that follows up after the Tempered Fate ensures that the rest of his team's going to be there. This Baron getting low so fast, but you've got Pabu in the area, and he does have Smite.
They need to zone his key members away. Praetor in trouble, down to 50%. Already got the ult working. He's already popped that heal. Has the flash, no cleanse. Claire in trouble. Claire forced to run away. Only jumping on in, looking for Pabu. Shields are there. Only flashing away. Going through the portal once more. Shock! Hiding in the bush. Surprise, surprise. It's a Rise. Cycling through QWE. Getting all the damage. And the uptime to take down the Sile. There's a reset. And there's the TP back to mid-wave as Claire can take down the clone. The zombie is gone. And we're back to the Baron dance again.
Pabu's still here. Pabu's still with Smite. Can Direwolves keep him away? Can they zone him? That's going to be the question. Claire's Mega Gnar has the ultimate.
They need to zone these key targets
But they haven't
away.
stopped Pabu.
Decoy jumping in. Pabu still left untouched. The Baron held at 2k. Claire's gone. The Baron's been stolen. It's the worst case scenario. He's going to die for it, but Akin Direwolves run these 2 key members down. The Tempered Fate will be disengaged away from. But 2 members hold on to the buff. And Direwolves took the 50-50.
I mean, they took a 50-50 against a Lee Sin with a LeBlanc helping on damage. So that was as close to a true 50-50 as you would get. Usually you would say it favors the team that's in the pit because they can synchronize, but not the case. LeBlanc and Lee Sin just prove a little bit too good. The cost is a couple of kills. Those kills will still be traded in the end. And a Cloud Drake to get soul point for Direwolves. You take that every day of the week if you're Pentanet.gg. That is a fantastic outcome for you. Just looking at what happens on the right side here, the steal, we saw it happening. Claire ends up going down to Praetor. That is the risk that the Gnar will play. You don't stun the Vayne, you die. And then you've just got the damage combo from Chaz and Pabu, right? Sonic Wave coupling with the distortion. Way too much, more than a smite.
I feel like a tall order, really, for Claire to try and do the zoning on his own, especially given how fragmented PGG were, sitting in pairs. To the left-hand side and to the right, and ultimately 1 stun, locked in place, condemn and gone. Only wasn't able to jump over that wall. They're back in business once again. There's the Crescent Guard, there's the bomb, only onto Sion, looking to try and shred his HP down because he is got the Leandries. Charm goes out, can Claire hit? No, he can't, he's gone. Now the ult to re-engage, to turn it around, to go on towards the Xin Zhao, who's now very fragile. Gore Drinker will not protect you this time, and now this is where Vayne really starts to shine, taking his 1v1s, picking up battles, running key targets down. And despite only having 2 of those buffs, they've got a cannon wave and they can siege.
They've brought the gold difference back to 2,000. They will be able to look at this turret for sure. Ziggs no ultimate, no way to clear these waves, and they're Baron-empowered minions, which is a necessity if you want to push against Ziggs. So the stars definitely aligning here for Pentanet.gg. Continuing to push is definitely risky. Shock, full health, so much damage. Comes out of this mid laner. I don't know if they can continue to stay here.
Waves aren't going to be perfectly aligned, but it is going to be the most they can find, it seems, as they're going to go for the reset. They've done the damage. They've opened up mid and bot now to play for next time. Was another 30 seconds remaining on that Baron buff, but not willing to take the risk with respawns just to come back.
I mean, and suddenly we've got 4 items on Praetor. 350 CS at 32 minutes. This Vayne is definitely going to do enough to 1v9 team fights if left untouched. The fact that he's got the QSS as well means that it's not going to be as simple as Gnar coming in and using the Gnar ultimate, which is also called Gnar, which is a pain to say. It's not going to be able to not lock down in one hit Praetors. You have to couple your crowd control, and you saw exactly that in the last fight, right? Only goes in feeling a little bit forced on their play, and I think that the patience of PGG is starting to prove a little bit too powerful. Claire's Mega.
The fight breaks out. It starts with Gunkrab as the focus. It's a shutdown. It goes to the hands of the Vayne once again. He's going to find himself a double kill. The dream for a Vayne. He's been so patient all 33 minutes long. But the late game is well and truly there. You touched on it. 4 items. He's got himself a cleanse too. He can afford to step up because he will take down anyone.
no one really able to stop him, right? Gunkrab dies, only dies. They were split on the side of Direwolves, and they were picked off from really nice vision control by PGG using sweepers, not just wards. Pushing mid lane now all too easy.
No Baron buff, and that's not going to concern him because they've got the numbers advantage. 3 members looking to defend this one. Once again, another 4-1 split. And Praetor is running him down. The Everfrost is there. Shock forced to try and flash away. Not even going to take the redemption. Straight back to the fountain. Mid inhibitor is going to fall on down. Cannon to push the bot inhib too. Make it a power play. Make it the dream setup here. Super minions soon to play for is Chaz is taunting and looking his own members away. Is this going to fall down? It's going to be low. But they may have just held on for the meantime. Poppy jumping in, looking to try and get that kick, but can he find the target? No, not the angle he was looking for. He's going to get knocked up as Claire goes in, hits the one-man None. That's all she wrote. That's all they needed. Only now looking for another kill, looking to try and take out this Rakan. But a nice little flash and a dash from him will prevent it. Biopanther will be the sacrificial lamb. The tank to soak up the worlds. And say worth.
And that is 2 kills there for the side of Direwolves. Pabu looking a little bit iron for with that Lee Sin play. Gets locked down. Teleports.
Ooh, Tempered Fate does get it on Chaz, but Praetor's still untouched. 5-0-2. Who can stop him? Chaz finds another kill. And despite him being so low, despite the clone being popped, they just can't get on him.
Yeah, we're starting to really find this point now where the composition of PGG, even with Pabu and Biopanther dead, just does too much damage. If you're being, the aggressors, you're walking towards them, you have to do it well. And even with, a 4-0-4 scoreline on their rise, and monumentally large mid laner for the Direwolves, that damage doesn't compare to a Vayne and to the burst that's coming out of a LeBlanc at the exact same time. Try as they might, the fact that PGG are now able to put their best foot forwards increases the scope of difficulty for Direwolves to contend with. Still winnable. Definitely not ideal, however.
How was this for a narrative, though? You're Direwolves, you're up by 5k in the early game. There were certain moments during the season where people are critical of PGG and saying your early game is very weak. Are you just always banking on the success of a late game? And it seems to be that whilst it has sharpened up, in this game alone to start off this next best of 5, it's a case of, well, we're down 5k, but we know what we're playing for. One fight. And that moment was executed upon flawlessly.
We're almost at a point where Praetor gets to stop farming. That's how much he has in his bank right now. Nearly at that completed item. And realistically, whenever the Vayne has ultimate, you have a hard time team fighting. You want to try and poke around, maybe force the ultimate out if you can, make sure that he stays visible. The tools to lock him down, limited. Require a lot of setup or execution, Bard ultimate being coupled with the stun. Mega Gnar needs timing. Ryze needs to press the E before he uses the Rune Prison. And even then there's a QSS there. Biopanther also definitely fridge status. It'll be quite difficult to contend with him. And Claire is the opposite. Claire, knowing that the enemy team is going to do a lot of damage to him, has gone for still a very fragile build. The Sterax gauge buys some time, but in the scope of his opponents, that's 2 auto attacks from a Vayne. So not that tanky. It means that it's entirely on execution if they want any chance in this game.
He's gone for pure tank shred on this occasion with the cleaver, as you say. It's going to be the mega pop right now. So if PGG were to wait this one out, you can see Chaz on the flank looking to try and be a pest. If he can find a key target of Direwolves. Roaming just the wrong way to set up some vision. Might be lights out. It's a very big LeBlanc. And that is only the focus. That is only getting locked in place. That's him jumping on through, looking to try and get that kill. Tempered Fate won't connect, neither with the bomb. 2 crucial ultimates that Direwolves need to find success with. PGG can run away, and the second Baron has spawned.
Can they contest this Baron with so many ultimates gone, with their health missing on only? They're hitting the wave to try and get some health back. Teleports are going to come in here as well from Chaz. Biopanther's got the pick.
Cupcake in trouble. Chaz once again being that pest. There's Decoy, jumps in, hits the charm, takes out Claire. No Gnar this time around. They've got all these crucial setup ults removed. Direwolves still looking to try and contest this one. Hanging around in the river so far, but they lack vision, and that's the scariest part, because how do you face check this one? How do you even look to try and contest? Maybe you got the Mega Inferno bomb back up. Do you take the 50-50? There's only look to dash on in because he doesn't have the flash. The bomb goes down! Back-to-back steals! These junglers!
The Ryze ult. And they're out.
Walk, they're disengaged. Thank you very much.
Realm Warp into the Magical Journey. Thank you very much. Direwolves' shoe is on the other foot this time around. Does this do anything to actually stop the game's flow, right? Does this do anything to actually stem the bleeding, to give Direwolves a chance? I think the answer is yes. It gives them the ability to push out their side lanes with a bit more confidence. It still gives them time, and that's what they're after. Let's not discredit the scaling of the Direwolves composition. Only goes in as the hero. It's worked with a Ziggs ultimate. Realm Warp, Magical Journey, see you later. Thank you for the Baron buff, plus 300. How do you like that one? PGG very unhappy about that one, because again, you're against the Ziggs. You kind of need Baron.
Yeah, very hard to set up a siege against the Ziggs. So much burst that came their way. Bomb charge smite. And now, PGG find themselves continuing to siege. This time though, with a 1k lead. A very fragile one at just that.
Cupcake
6 items
up,
have been completed though.
I really feel like this is the point, this is the exact spot on the map where Direwolves lost their lead before. And Cupcake's still playing up a little bit. You know, giving opportunities to PGG to make those picks. Walking towards him is one of the biggest mistakes you'd make.
Up is called. And he's going to flash away. The fight breaks out regardless, though. They're on to only. Temper Fate's going to protect him as he comes out stasis. No, it's not. It's actually just there to shield him. Now, the kick away is not. Hits his ultimate. Interesting interaction between the two. He's just throwing hands, locked up in the air. Decoy in trouble, and he can't do much more to engage now. But Chad's still looking to find himself that key target. Getting excited. You know the burst is there. But that one wasn't it.
They get the flash out of Praetor. That's probably the biggest winner of all of that fight. So much easier to get onto him. The ultimate cooldown of Claire is ultimately just 0. The Mega Gnar is ready every time he has Mega Gnar. At this point, Pub is going to have his ult back up and available as well. Is this the Cloud Soul that you fight for? Is this the do or die moment? Both teams on Soul Point. Definitely a tense point in this game. And Direwolves with that Baron buff have granted themselves enough priority to be able to move towards the area. Still very winnable for them, but it all comes down to Prey Diff or if it's Shot Gap.
40 minutes in. The Dragon is there. One of these teams will get the Soul Point. They're just going to wait out this Baron buff. 5 seconds left. Parbu on a wide flank, hitting the blast cone, denied by Claire.
Claire now
Dragon
hitting Mega
has
though.
been engaged. There is the Mega. Does have the flash. Can
There's
set it up.
A big window. Decoy with a monster flank, definitely not being seen in Fog of War. Once that Mega's gone, you fight.
Certainly do. Dragon picked up here by the Direwolves. Decoy now looking for the charm, looking for the flash. Charms into 2, locks up 3, goes for the kill. Takes out Rai. Shock was huge, but not anymore. He's gone. Parbu finds the second kill. Takes out only. There's Predator fronting him down, but 3 members locked in place there by the Tempered Fate. But Predator survives. Big shields, bigger heals. And now the numbers advantage to try and close out this game as Chaz jumps in. And still can't be traded on.
LeBlanc's passive is so very annoying. It goes invisible below a certain point of HP. They weren't going to be able to get the instant trade back. Direwolves will secure the Cloud Soul, but the game is now on the line. Gunkrab can clear waves. It is a Ziggs against a non-Baron team, but Bio might just tank it.
Looking for it. Gunkrab is the focus right now. There's the kick. There's the flash away straight into the fountain. The Dragon's Rage is not what they're after. Predator wasn't even there. He's low, but they're onto these Nexus turrets. 2 are just soon to fall on that. They're gone. Onto the Nexus. Take no chance with this one. Respawn times are coming on through, but there's no Mega Inferno Bomb. There is no chance. Stretch your hands. What an easy game for Vayne. I say it lightly, but 42 minutes in, both teams were tested.
Absolutely, both teams pushed a little bit. 2 Baron steals in this game as well. Definitely an interesting way to kick off a best-of-5 series between both of them. Shows that the gap definitely is not very large at all. A lot of respect shown. A lot of potential there, even from deficits for both teams to come back. With the Vayne scaled, the team fighting of PGG, you know, like we spoke about Skimmy in contrast to yesterday, PGG excel at their mid to late game team fighting, and that's exactly where they brought this game back to find the W.
They certainly did, didn't they, Mac? Probably nothing better than seeing a fully fed 6-item Vayne just tumbling, running, taking down kills, and just making it look very easy.
Mate, look, we got 6 games yesterday and we potentially got 5 or 3 today. So I guess we'll see, or 4. Look, let's just go with the reality. Could 5 or 3? 5 or 3, okay. Anyway, very entertaining start to the series there. Now, that game had it all. You know, it had the steal, not only once but twice there on the buzzer. Other than that, you know, a couple of team fights definitely looking like, or making it look like Direwolves were in the lead up until Praedith decided to say, hey, look, I'm actually online. I'm going to join in these team fights, and you guys are going to regret coming anywhere near me. And that happened a couple of times and a couple too many times. Unfortunately, there towards the end, Direwolves just got their numbers thinned out too much and they couldn't do anything to stop the push. And it was good to see as well Pensinet really knowing that they can push the point and win the game there rather than dragging it out for another 10 minutes for another mistake someone made and then playing off of that one. However, look, very good game, very entertaining one, and I hope every game in this series is as close as that one.
The most interesting thing about this game to me was that Direwolves had a lot of their pocket picks, you know, things that have been banned away from them, and they still ultimately lost with those champions. So I'm curious that if they double down, it's possible, right? It was a winnable game. You wouldn't say it was a draft difference, but there's a possibility that you change the draft as a result of losing a game outright to have maybe a bit more scaling, or you just commit further to being early aggressive, right?
Yeah.
They definitely suffered a bit to the scaling of PGG come those big team fights at 3 items.
So do you think if Direwolves were to win, they probably had to do it maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier, try to go for that end, try to really drive a stake in the heart of the vampires of PGG?
I think they had to use their lead more aggressively for sure. They were very, very calm and measured. They got a 5,000 gold lead back. It was pretty significant, but it never felt like they had a 5,000 gold lead through most of that.
Yeah, okay. Now let's have a quick look at the numbers. Just towards the end, it looks like the gold gap went straight back towards PGG. It's not much of a gap though. It's only about 3k. Soul eventually going to Direwolves, but it cost them the game. So again, we can have that meme of I get game, you get Air Soul. Was it Cloud Soul? That's the one. However, look, 1 Baron each, so they're sharing the love there. But in terms of the damage dealt, look at the numbers there for Ziggs. Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, Ziggs, it's just one of those champions, isn't it, right? It can just do so much poke, especially with the Leandries compared to the Ludens. I mean, both are obviously very strong, but just the ticking damage he's able to find, denying all these waves, being a nuisance when he's poking. Looking to try and chunk out the likes of a Sign and Lee Sin to start things off with. It's always going to be a bit of fun for Ziggs to play from, but I think, yeah, much to Rusty's point, you have a 5k lead, you weren't really able to do too much because PGG were just looking to say, all right, you'll go for that, we'll take this as a trade, cool, we're just making trades consistently, and then by a certain point in the game, we just saw them always invade Direwolves red buff and say, we're fighting here, we're going to fragment you into like 3-2 splits, we're going to pick you apart, exactly what Evade and LeBlanc want, and then you know, you run those situations a few too many times over, and you then got yourself a 6-item ban.
Well, there you have it. Let's see what goes on in the next game, because that's it for game 1 of the series. It's time for another break. Listen to this sick song we have today. It's Next to Me by Rufus Du Sol. We'll see you on the other side of this.
Has the ultimate.
They need to zone these key targets.
They haven't stopped Parvu.
Decoy jumping in, Parvu's still left untouched. The Baron held at 2k. Claire's gone. The Baron's been stolen. It's the worst case scenario. He's going to die. Was only look to dash on in because he doesn't have to flash. The bomb goes down. Back-to-back steals. These junglers. The Horizon.
In my mind's eye, watching this horizon as you float by. Words are scattered stars across the sky. Blood moon, feeling out of sorts like you might leave soon. How much of me do you think it consumes? Easy to accuse you.
And when the lights come down, I wanna feel you standing next to me. And can you hear me out? There's a lifetime in front of me. And when my time runs out, I wanna feel you standing next to me. Daddy, I knew this time would arrive. I knew this time would come. Ever since I first looked in your eyes, I said you're the one. Oh my God, oh my God, tell me I'm the one. Oh my God, oh my God. I wanna feel you
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO, where we got to see one supremo bloody game to kick things off there in the series that we currently have here. PGG taking game one. Jeez, I'm going back to my roots with that one. Anyway, look, Jordan's not even here, so he can't share in the glory with me. However, before we jump into this one, also, hey Nat, welcome back.
Hi.
We do have a couple of tweets to have a look at. So you guys at home have been churning up the content, which we love. And here you have it. So you got at Lothy, Laura Bell, TY for the feed, at LCO, at DoorDash. That is someone who's definitely taking a good... Wait, what? Is that spaghetti?
That looks like spaghetti.
Spaghetti and meatballs on a pizza?
What?
What?
That's amazing. I didn't even
that.
notice. I thought it was just like weird sort of cheese or something.
Yeah, no, that's definitely...
pasta.
Definitely pasta. I'm gluten intolerant, you know, I don't know what pasta is.
Very true, very true. Now, I want that pizza, but I also want another tweet that I believe we have here. Let's bring that up and see who it's from. It is, of course, from... Oh, who's that? I have no idea who that is. Is that... What's that shirt in the background? Is that me? Is that? No, definitely that wouldn't be me. Thank you for the gift that I will not share with at MacMate. Thanks, Jess. And that's true. I was on my knees. I was begging, Jess, please give me the cheese pizza. I'll do anything for the cheese pizza. And she said, no, it's all mine, and ate 2 slices and then put it in the fridge. So I might just have to be a little rat and sneak that one in later. However, I guess we'll see. Anyway, that is it for the tweets. And we do have another meme, actually. So it's not just tweets. We've got memes. We've got bloody everything coming in. Oh, remember that Discord exists. I forgot that it existed for a moment. But there is a Discord where you can send these memes in as well. And who wore it best, do we think? So these
That's
are
amazing.
the cosplays that we, of course, went for. And Lolo doing a very damn good job at photoshopping in what we wanted.
Funny looking Mundo, Skimmy.
Yeah, I told Lolo in the Discord. I was like, I think you got me mixed up with Juve. So he's already on the editing to get that one changed around. Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm waiting for the update, the refresh. So yeah, Lolo smurfing.
I have to say, this makes me want to cosplay Coven Morgana so much more. Like, a few years ago, I did Nidalee, and I was like, we're just going to retire from the old League cosplay. But now, seeing that photo, that's it. That's what I'm going to spend my off-season doing.
I was thinking mine would be pretty sick, but then I looked at Rusty as Varys there, and I was like, ooh.
Tell me Varys
swoon
wouldn't
a little
look
bit.
awesome though, right?
It would. At first, I was skeptical, but that Photoshop...
But how good are the faces? The face is almost like perfect, right? You
Yeah.
got like Mac just like pog champing on a
Yeah.
Shyvana, like wow, look at that flame breath. You just got one shot, and like Rusty's got the whole like kind of like staunch like Steez look going on. I'm just cracking up like I'm a shaker, but I'm not. But you know what? It happens.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, if you guys are ready for some more action, we do have some more coming up. But I believe I don't think all the pizza codes have been used yet. So if you want to drop the old DD LCO in your DoorDash app when you are purchasing some pizza for this evening, you will get 50% off up to $20. And it is the first 100 people that use the code. So make sure you jump in. Even if you're not having it for dinner, feel free to use it. And then you can have pizza for breakfast tomorrow, because I know cold pizza is pretty damn good. From experience, what about you guys? Do you like cold pizza?
Yeah, it's not
Heat
bad.
it up. What? You guys don't heat it up?
Nah, it's
Heat it up?
50-50.
Sick. What?
It depends how you feel. Like, I'll heat it up sometimes. Sometimes I'll have some cold pizza.
I
That is
don't
true.
know
It
if
depends
I've
on
ever
the
had a
pizza
slice
too.
of
Yes,
cold pizza.
I've had both. I don't know which I prefer.
I mean, a good tip, if anyone has an air fryer out there, you can put a little bit of paper towel on the bottom, just a little bit, and then your pizza on top of it, and then your crust doesn't go soggy. When you heat it up again.
Life hack.
In the microwave, sometimes the crust gets soggy.
Wait, didn't you say
Wait, in the microwave, do you like a glass of water, or have I been baited? I swear I saw like a random...
No, I know about
I've never
the
done
paper
that.
towel in a microwave, but weren't you talking about, didn't you say the air fryer?
Air fryer, yeah. Air
Yeah,
fryer
yeah.
won't make it soggy, but sometimes putting it in the microwave does, so...
Very good, very good. Well, something that isn't soggy is Champ Select. So let's jump on in for game 2, and hopefully we get ourselves another banger.
Weird if it was.
Yeah, you can do it with the water. I've just Googled it on the spot. That's why I'm looking puzzled.
Yeah,
But
good job,
here we
Skinny.
go. That's really interesting analysis. We can forget that one. Put that in the back burner for a second. We can jump into the second game of this one. And Rusty, I mean, you mentioned it didn't feel like it was a draft gap that kind of contributed to that game coming away from the Direwolves, more so maybe just the kind of the play style with the lead that they had generated.
I think it's a play style primarily, and I was thinking about this after I said it as well. Like, is there anything that I would change in the draft to make it better for Direwolves? I think that Claire was probably the least confident of the squad with his Gnar. So that could be a champion to change. However, I said this before, going for the Renekton I think is a lot riskier against a team like PGG. They have much better tools to punish or play away from.
Yeah.
You know, Biopanther, weak side Titan, very difficult to use a Renekton to kill him. And Camille's always banned away. So I actually don't think it is the easiest job to be Claire right now. He has looked like he's improved a lot, however, and maybe there's champions like the Cannon that can go alongside that Gnar. But we'll get the test now. We'll get to see if the proof's in the pudding. Maybe he is confident on the Gnar, and it was just an off game.
Where not we see ourselves okay. Well, that's a first. We got ourselves a Malzahar. Very oppressive champion, primarily because of the ultimate. If you're looking to jump on in and make a play, that one ability cancels everything.
That is definitely a pick into LeBlanc. It is 100% an LS5 head LeBlanc angle here. The question, we'll look at it once the runes are picked. We'll see if he does go for the cheatest of recalls. But right now, with the rest of the composition, you know, you've got the Lee Sin for the follow-up through the jungle role. Definitely something that we saw from them in game 1, so consistent again through the second. And Rakan, definitely a major point here. If you pick a composition where the Vayne isn't realistic, you've still got the Xayah. So there's a lot of options there for the side of PGG. And honestly, I do like what they've gone for. The adaptation was the LeBlanc. The response was immediate. They expected it.
No need to go for Lissandra if you can take this one instead. So similar positions or similar roles in terms of, shut down a key target, but certainly is going to be a little bit of spice to bring into the second game. PGG get a better way some of the champions that popped off in game number 1. Remove that bar, take away the Ziggs, look to try and force Gunkrab into something a little bit more conventional. Maybe Xerath is not looking as appealing this time. And basically, it almost feels like Predator is laying down the gauntlet and saying, just face me head on with a more traditional AD carry and let's see who comes out on top.
I mean, they haven't revealed their support option either, so I'm wondering if they do just find like an Ezreal lane and don't take the handshake, or if they go for the trade in that style. Tell you what, PGG have got a strategy, and it's not conventional, but we can all see what it does, I think, Skibby. You ult someone, and then you use your other ult, they're probably going to die. It really is that simple. But yeah, not conventional champions. We know Biopanther can play it. Chaz on the Malzahar is the least known quantity. My eye's still looking at Direwolves here, what their bottom lane's going to be. You know, is it going to be your Kai'Sa Nautilus style lane? Is it going to be more of an Ezreal poke lane? You know you've got the Rakan there, so you can consider things like Morgana for support, but the Alistar is the champion of choice this time around. And I believe it can break out of the Urgot ult. So Alistar has its merits.
We'll talk about the Urgot. We only saw it twice from Biopanther in particular in Split 1. Both times it was played into a Gnar. And well, it hasn't been played since the 23rd of March. So looking to try and dive deep into that champion pool and bust out something a little bit special here. Get the mental edge. If we've beaten you with some different champions, you've got Comfort Direwolves, but we've got Spice.
And we certainly have a whole array of spices. Varus going to be coupled with this one, so not a lot to keep the Varus alive compositionally, but definitely has long range, something that can outrange the Malzahar at the very least. And the ultimate is going to be super useful, so nice little setup for the rest of the team. Good little pit composition, it feels like, with Direwolves having outstanding follow-up through the auxiliary members, you know, the top lane of the support coming into the mix. That's when the team fighting starts to get serious. Shock being the only magic damage on the team and having... I still think it's a free laning phase for what it's worth. LeBlanc shouldn't have any issues laning until, you know, post 6, where junglers start to get into the mix potentially as well. But once you're playing this LeBlanc, you're coming into team fights, it's going to be pretty difficult to deal with their comp, and as the only magic damage, it could be a big risk here for Direwolves.
Certainly could be. Shut that one down nice and early, and makes it very easy for demonization. As a result, we saw Biopanther just build like a tank last game, went for the Bramble Rush, and made it very difficult for the likes of Only and Claire to put their attention that side. You're going to expect the same kind of build once again. Go press the attack, pick up the Titanic Hydra, and put out a ton of damage, coupled with being very hard to take down. A lot of execution potential, as you said there, for the side of PGG between that and the Mouse. Pick potential, obviously, there as well, but I suppose we go back to the Direwolves point. A couple of adaptations on their end, primarily in the bot lane, but for the most part, a similar draft from them.
Yeah, very similar from Direwolves as a style, right? As a team composition, they definitely have decent pick with team fighting. Their 2v2 skirmishing between their mid laner and their jungler is going to be a standout feature here, you know, with a LeBlanc and a Shinzao. So, two things to look at that are consistent between games. They got leads, however, in game number 1, utilizing this strategy and playing through a safe bottom lane, utilizing Cupcake's ability to roam. If they can get the same lead again in this game, it is entirely possible that they snowball the game out. They start to bring us to a 5-game series.
Well, let's see. It's currently 1-0 to PGG. And if they can get this one, they put themselves in a very comfortable spot. But let's get the perspective of a different coach, this time Farmer from the side of Direwolves. And I want to start by looking back at yesterday, Farmer. Sort of what were some of the key takeaways you got from that 3-0 against Order?
We got what we wanted, and the style of the meta fit us like it should. And yeah, I mean, I think that from the first game, like the first game was a bit dicey, and as soon as we won that, like confidence was soaring and Order seemed lost. So we were just, it was good to go at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, you come into this one, obviously a much tougher opponent as we've seen in this first game, and it almost feels a little bit sad that, you know, the perfect win rate on a couple of these guys' champions has been broken, but you stuck with the comfort again. We feel like this is a case of not having to revolutionize the draft, as we're seeing PGG have responded to with, but I suppose much to the point, do you sort of view yourselves as the underdog in this match, that you just need to play comfort to play at your potential, or...?
Yeah, just play comfort and at our potential. I don't think there's an underdog necessarily in this match. Not sure what the public perception is, but I think we're very close. And based on the first game, I think they seemed kind of scared, to be honest. Like, we're really confident, even after the loss, because, you know, we showed it in the early game, like, it didn't translate to the end, but going into the second one, we're still really confident. We're just hungry to get wins, so I think it's, yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah, talking about early game, it was a very strong start, very hard to do against a team like PGG, up by 5,000. Do you identify a key point where it went wrong? Perhaps, you know, a lack of aggressiveness with that lead, or just, you know, a few mismanaged fights that went sour?
Yeah, just a few key mistakes around some objectives and like some missed tempo opportunities. Nothing too major, but it, you know, PGG's strength is that they do rely on this kind of late game macro, and you know, it just happens, but I'm confident we'll get wins.
All right, on a final note, before I let you guys go, what do we make about this Malzahar, right? It's been a long time since we've seen it, a very long time in OS especially. Were you expecting it? Did you have a clear response for it in the draft? Or was it like, well, there's an idea that PGG put together, but we're going to stick to our own game plan?
Yeah, we were expecting the Mouse, and we just think that we can take it. It's the pretty traditional counterpick to LeBlanc, and so we definitely knew it was coming. So we just have to show that we can beat it.
Beautiful. Right, Farmer, well, best of luck in this best of 5 series, and we'll catch up later.
Thanks, guys.
So, definitely not your... you know what? Your standard coach interview. Something has to happen when we're interviewing a coach. And unfortunately for Direwolves, the curse lives on Skimmy. It was their team that suffers at level 1. Honestly, I will say it was a pretty egregious error there from Gunkrab to fall down. Gets hit by the W of Rakan, just dies pretty freely in the end. We might have to hold that thought here, however, as a big wave means a dive threat top, possible top.
Claire's already burned that flash. He's in a whole host of trouble right now. Looking to try and pop that hyper. He can't get the final auto. I don't think it would have taken Bio down, but it would have been certainly close. He's burnt the flash. He's going to have to TP back to that wave. Not a good start here.
Not a great start for Direwolves as a whole. I tell you what, though, Parbu is finding angles on this Lee Sin that he shouldn't be finding. Q's a minion on the way to diving there, so would have liked to hit a champion with that one. Either way, they get the kill. It's pretty cleanly played as well. Ultimately, BioPanther knows his limits on the Urgot, so the expert of the champion, a champion that not a lot of people are too familiar with, will be able to maximize his potential. Towards the bottom lane point, I just wanted to quickly touch on, there's no way an Alistar exists at level 1. You have to play carefully till level 2. You can see that the lane has normalized pretty nicely now for Direwolves as a whole. You just had that one wave to be, or that one level to be respectful, that they get punished big time, and it just shouldn't happen.
Oh, that's a fantastic knock-up from Decoy. Hits onto 2. There's the headbutt away. Both find themselves worse for wear. Direwolves will feel pretty comfortable about that one, given that Cupcake has the Aftershock versus the Guardian, so Decoy down to half, has 1 potion active. But it is going to be an on-hit Varus this game.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case with the lethal tempo runes that he has gone for. Using that Alistar with Aftershock, like you said, it means that you can actually play the trades in a way where you can focus the Rakan if he engages. Particularly pre-6, because there's no follow-up, and you can time your Pulverize with the W, double knockups, and Varus just hammers away as Chaz could be in trouble.
Yeah, he has no passive spell shield, so he's in a whole host of trouble right now. Double flash to respect it. There's the silence, but it doesn't matter when an auto attacker is on top of your head. There's the clone, as Parby doesn't know who to go for right now. Spins to win. It actually takes out the Xin Zhao shot with the last stretch of mana. Tries to take him. The chains were there, but they couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, very close. Pubby with a level advantage did have minions as well, is able to get that cheeky 1v1 against only. Will have smite up, so he's not going to die to those Krugs you would expect, but shock, jeez. That was extremely close. But the fight starts with Chaz being locked down, and again, we spoke about this pre-6. It's not a great time to be a Malzahar. And ultimately, the thing that Chaz has gone for, it's not reflected on screen, so just to quickly hit that for you guys, it's Futures Market Malzahar with the teleport, and went for the immediate back for a Lost Chapter as soon as possible. So tried to get that one in. I didn't see the exact timing on that one, but usually one of the things you do with Malzahar, right, is you start that Mana Crystal, Sapphire Crystal, get back as fast as possible for Lost Chapter, and then you never run out of mana because you're just constantly using abilities on wave. That's where it becomes difficult to be a LeBlanc. You cannot match that wave clear in any way, shape, or form.
Certainly is, given that his dot will grant mana back, so if he can hit those waves, he can hit the ultimate like this right now and just lock a key target in place, and Cupcake doesn't have the ultimate, so he can't break out of it. Only back in mid lane again. There's a knock-up from Q3, but it doesn't seem to matter, because PGG have got in, got out, and performed a bit of a heist.
Yeah, you hit level 6, you have that Malzahar ultimate. Of course you're going to go around mid lane, and they make the play work. It all starts with Decoy, however, this time around, hitting the W. And Cupcake, even with the Aftershock proc, was inevitably going to fall. The teleport from Claire, actually not ideal. Doesn't really provide anything. Shows up in mini form, has a wave crashing at that top turret, and will start to fall further behind. And now, with the way that mid has gone, it does feel like we're going from bad to the risk of it being worse here for Direwolves in this second game.
Well, if PGG do get the early game, we've seen them time and time again translate that into a very strong mid-late, very hard for teams to recover from. It isn't all doom and gloom, but you certainly would be feeling quite concerned when you see yourself a 3-0 Lee Sin that has rocked up to top and mids and snagged the kills for himself. Not really willing to share the bounty elsewhere. A solo kill found very early on during that coaching interview, as you said. And now waves crashing against him, and no answer to prevent this first Drake being acquired.
Yeah, no way of stopping the Dragon. Teleport being used bottom here as well. Clear incentive to dive, probably Cupcake.
Nice headbutt away, preventing Decoy, looking for that one, but that's going to be the Astro Shift forward, a flash away. The grasp was there, the chains to connect, and the missile to take him down with a fear. Pabu looking for it, very close to lethal, but locked in place under the tower. There was a minion to switch the aggro across to. And he just does not die in mid.
Yeah, barely scrapes away. Similar thing can be said about bottom lane, however. You've got the teleport from Biopanther proving to be quite useful. Now, there is still going to be a big cost on the opposite side of the map. There's going to be 2 plates for Claire. There's going to be a crazy amount of minions that are going to get lost here as well. That's experience and gold that goes wanting. And while you've got a 3-0 Pabu, he does just scrape away, which buys time for only to counter jungle on that side of the map that Biopanther teleported away from. This is the point, however, that it starts to potentially swing back. Or not! This could just swing into a pause. But this is the point where Pabu and Bio get active back onto the top side of the map, with Chaz having his ultimate, which is the main point that I wanted to make there. This Herald is very risky.
Well, it feels like that if you take a quick stock check of what's available right now. As you said, there is no ultimate for the Xin Zhao. Shock won't be too far away. But Chaz will be the only one available to look to try and lock in place a key target. So, given the fact that they are redeploying to that side of the map, we'll get to see what they do. But this is the initial engage. So, Golden Crab fell on down in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, you just can't do that, right? We spoke about this before, but a level 1 Alistar provides maybe a headbutt, maybe a pulverize. If you time it well, there's a world where you cancel the Rakan going in, but you're really adding the risk, right, for your AD carry. That's a lot of trust, and it's not easy to execute. But never the matter. If I can speak English, Skimmy, we're back in game.
We are back in game, and there is vision there, but they're going to pull it out of the pit, and they're not going to force PGG's hand, despite the ultimate check that was available between both mid laners. PGG feeling at least top half of the draft. They don't have what is required to take an early skirmish and throw away a good lead that they found themselves in the first 10 minutes. So, get to see what they can do. Pabu once again, looking to make Shock's life very difficult.
Herald going to be instantly summoned on the top side of the map here, though, so consider that Biopanther's teleport bottom gave a slight lead for the 2v2 of Praedyth and Decoy, a place where they were pretty happily neutral, and has almost cost him an entire turret. Has definitely cost him a wave worth of CS now as well. That is an advantage for Claire, and kind of sets Claire up to be a real point of strength for Direwolves. Come one full completed mythic item, he should be able to get onto the board very confidently. Not to say that PGG are falling behind from the trade, it's just that it's very clearly seen as a trade now.
Well, they did put a bit of time into the bot lane here. Stole away some buffs and had a bit of fun with it, and looking to try and crash in another wave. 10 CS up for this Ezreal so far. Outgo to chains, lock him in place. Cupcake still does not have a level 6. Neither does Decoy. Never Grasp is there. There's the Sonic Wave. And it's just a little bit too clean.
Yeah, this combo is impossible to deal with. While you've got vision of perhaps of only, maybe only is invisible, what matters is that you have 100-0 kill threat with a Lee Sin in the area when you have the Malzahar ultimate, that Nether Grasp, way too powerful. And Shock has been contained. And PGG now collapsing on bottom.
Certainly are. Out goes the charm onto one. There's the second now. Gun Crab in a fair bit of trouble. Flashing for one order will do it, and they will secure it. It's Pabu again. He's got 5 kills in 10 minutes. Somebody stop him. Another kill found. 2 key carries with all the gold in the world.
It'll be Praedyth that stops him only because he's going to get one himself. PGG with a very clean combo there. I actually hope we get to see a replay of that one, because it was a Lee Sin kick into the Rakan grand entrance. You know, charming him on as the recipient of that kick was pretty clean, and also enabled Decoy to continue to push forwards to the rest of the team with that extra move speed he had from the ultimate. So nice little combo there, nets them 2 kills, and if we consider that transition from a mid kill into bottom, I mean, what more could you possibly want? So only gets kicked, bang, he's charmed, it does nothing. Cupcake tries to headbutt Decoy away, but he gets charmed from the headbutt. Now the ultimates are there for Pentanet.gg. The leads they already had can definitely get accelerated, and they're looking like they can't be stopped. Except for pauses.
Yeah, well,
They
perhaps if
can
your
stop
internet comes and ruins the party, that's the second pause. Not sure what it is about, but last pause was nice and quick, so hopefully it's nothing too major.
Yeah, hoping it's just like a, you know, small peripheral issue. Someone's got to plug in their mouse. Nowadays, everyone's got wireless peripherals, myself included. I always forget.
Bit of a game changer, isn't it?
It's actually amazing.
Well, there is the big man for Direwolves. He's been in very fine form. We've talked about it multiple times throughout the recent weeks, leading into the playoffs too, how strong he has been individually, how he's risen to power to emulate some of the strengths he's had in Split 1 and what it sort of means for the team as a whole. A strong point to work around, a part of the map that the Direwolves heavily invest in, but he's being controlled, he's being tamed, and it's very rare we say that.
We've said this a fair bit about LeBlanc, right? We haven't necessarily said this about Shock in particular, but we know that LeBlanc has neutralizing champions. We've seen Lissandra used widely around the whole world as well as an option. We've also seen changes with jungle champions, and I've mentioned this a couple of times now on the LCO, but Lee Sin into LeBlanc lanes provides an abundance of kill threat, also provides the ability to give vision on LeBlanc, so a passive not as useful for outplay. You know exactly which one it is. So when you consider that there is counters that can stop you in the Lissandra, Malzahar definitely joins that list post level 6, and champions that can kill you, considering that the Lee Sin is there, then PGG have drafted perfectly for mid-jungle, right? They've drafted for the ideal trading, and they're winning through it as they should be, so they're playing to their win conditions. Makes it really difficult to be Shock, all things considered.
Let's see what he can do to prevent themselves falling 2-0 down in this series. Dismiss the naysayers. And look to upset the pack, because we've had 2 3-0s already. Maybe it will just be a start that could work against them. But we're getting a little bit carried away here. We're back into the second portion of this game with the pools ready to rock and roll. Very big roam there between the support and jungle of Direwolves. Looking to try and go top side and empower Claire. That's found himself in a very strong individual position.
One big thing here as well when you're looking at both of these teams and how they want to navigate being aggressive. PGG are definitely looking at their ultimates for when they time everything. Direwolves can be a bit more poke oriented, you know, use the mimic abilities, use gun crabs, Q, throw those arrows out, dwindle down the health bars and then look for the plays. Not necessarily telegraphed, but quite hard to deal with from the range that they play at. So there's more timing windows there for Direwolves to poke, and then when PGG go for the play, it is the big punch. And right now you've got Chaz with Flash and Ultimate there, you had Biopanther hovering, you had Pabu hovering. Shock needs to show respect all the time at this point. And also there's really so many turrets left standing, Skimmy, that this game, while it's already 3,000 gold in favor of PGG, could either balloon out to, you know, upwards of 6, or get brought back to close to 0, depending on who wins the next couple of minutes.
And it's going to be very interesting to observe over the next couple of minutes where those plays come about, because you're looking at the river so far for PGG. They're playing towards that dragon. They've just picked up the second one. As for Direwolves, very defensive vision around that part of the map, but it's all playing now towards ensuring that Claire is safe. That they do find themselves a passage, a transition through mid to top, that they can assist them and not get caught off guard, not get ambushed. As those respawn times start to get longer, the ability to take down those turrets is going to be a growing concern, and as you say, a 6k gold lead could very rapidly appear.
You know, you mentioned this before, but it is the on-hit Varus. My question with this Varus pick is, how does it survive when there is going to be everything in range of your auto attacks as a kill threat? You know, you've got Ezreal that could technically outrange you then with the Mystic shots. But you've got an Urgot in range, you've got a Lee Sin that's 5-0, you've got a Malzahar with his ultimate. Rakan also excels at closing distances. It's a difficult time to actually be Guncrab. And there was a world where the lethality build could be preferential, as a lot of the tanks on PGG don't necessarily stack crazy amounts of armor. But this is the path that he has chosen, and it's the path that he has to live with.
Here's the second most played AD carry to split. and has been a very big preference towards Lefeli. Halo Blade's picked roughly 70% of the time. I'd be interested in a very abstract manner what the breakdown is comparing the on-hit and Lefeli routes and their individual win rates. Obviously, comps can come into discussion as to being preferential and so on, but Lefeli just seems to be very strong, very safe. Very secure to get your job done because, we saw what he could do in the Ziggs last game. Plenty of poke. Sure, it's a Ziggs. AoE is easy, but similar position again. You can fight from afar, find that key target, and then likes of LeBlanc and Nard, Zinzao, you name it. Pretty much anyone can then jump in and secure it.
I'll tell you what, Gunkrab is here for a good time because he's gone straight for the Kraken Slayer. He wants to kill the tanks. Anyone who's in front of him is going to do insane damage too. That really is the play. I respect it. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how it does go. But still, up until that point, it is just going to be PGG pretty comprehensively in the lead. It's getting a lot of objectives now as towers will start to fall. Drakes haven't been contested by Direwolves. Herald's going to be free for them here as well. And I'm struggling to find that exact point where I think Direwolves will put the foot down and say, let's fight. Because they have to pay their taxes, Skimmy, as well. Above all else, not only are they falling behind in this game, but they have to pay their Malzahar taxes, or it may not get easier.
Yeah, a good point, right? The QSS is mandatory at this point, and PGG is certainly abusing the fact that Direwolves will have to be respectful. Instant flash away, there's the Shadow Corruption, but doesn't prevent Gunkrab being caught out of position. A flash away, the Sonic Wave there, and a kick afterwards secures the kill. Decoy picks it up, a second kill easily found. Direwolves bot lane dismantled. A Herald all the while has just hit one turret, head by the second, and 3 members left to try and defend 5.
Claire's posturing, looking for a Mega Gnar, but realistically missing his entire bottom lane. It's pretty difficult to do. Very healthy are a lot of the members here of Pentanet.gg. 2 easy picks for them, 2 easy turrets for them as well. League of Legends is really their oyster in this second game, in this best of 5 series. Not a lot of contest being seen from their respective opponents here. Pabu hits the Q. Pretty easy to follow up there. And then you've got the teleports, or the attempts rather, from Cupcake to zone away the rest of the team. The teleports coming from BioPanther, and Chaz is able to just hit that ultimate. A little bit too easy here for them, to be honest.
They're certainly making it look very easy, aren't they, PGG, so far? When they're warmed up and ready, they are a team that have achieved great things. I say that, and Cast the Curse, I suppose, gives us a blessing where Chaz gets caught out of position. Going to fall on down. Speaking of the Malzahar topic, the tax has been paid at least in 2 lanes, top and mid.
I don't think there's many times where you would Malzalt the Shinzao or the Alistar. So the only person with taxes outstanding right now is Gunkrab, so we'll keep our eyes on the Varus. It's hard to actually choose between damage items and the necessity of a QSS. Because you really need damage items badly, particularly with a gold deficit. We'll see exactly what happens here as Chaz died.
Yeah, we're back to life. And now somebody else is going to fall on down. It's going to be Decoy this time that goes down. As Pradev is still topped up and healthy. 3-0 so far with a bounty. Just picked himself up Trinity Falls, so not too far away from completing that tier item as well. Parbu flirting with danger in the enemy red side.
Cupcake.
Cupcake got a big flank, and a flash away will prevent that one, but it's only going to be onto the Urgot. Now getting dangerous because there is a chain that can connect and execute multiple. It's going to be one. There's no flash fear afterwards, but it doesn't seem to matter. They've done the damage. They've got the members low. Malefic Visions. It's there. It's ticking. And it's causing absolute havoc.
They're just so far ahead. You think it looks good, right? We have a pick. Chaz dies. We come back to live. We have another pick. And Decoy's gone, but they're just so strong, the remaining members. And that was even with Parbu getting chunked to half by Shock prior to the objective being looked at. Too resilient, too powerful right now, too many damage items across the board, and their combo is clean. You've got only attempting to go in, maybe start the fight instead of the objective, which I think is fair because you're looking for gold wherever possible. And they have a distinct number advantage. But he just gets smashed by a Malzahar ultimate. This champion pick is proving to be way too valuable against the Direwolves comp.
Going to hard force now, 3v2. The blue buff will not be stolen away. Has been secured here by Only. Oh, the charm is fantastic. And that completely interrupts the combo that Cupcake was looking for. And actually now allows PGG numbers down to disengage away quite successfully.
That was incredibly well played by Decoy. You know, tanking the chains for Praetor, who had to use his Essence Shift to get away. Making sure that he knows the Alistar-Rakan interaction well enough at this point to be able to buffer his ultimate when he sees the headbutt coming out. That way it's just going to be a headbutt to safety because the combo cannot be followed. When you make contact, you are stuck with the charm. So again, well played just to survive. They don't get the blue buff, but they do get themselves a 6,000 gold lead, and they do get themselves free priority in most of their lanes. Wherever the jungler goes, PGG's lead shall go also.
A big gold lead and a Baron that has now just spawned, and really PGG have a lot of answers to really how they can close this one out. They can play for a soul point. It's going to be another Cloud Soul also. But it's a Baron that is there for the taking. Despite Pabu being up all these kills, he is even levels here with only both level 11, so next upgrade on those ultimates.
It's just nice being a weak side Malzahar, isn't it? Use 2 abilities on a wave, Q every bush, even sweep the bush, might stop the recall, will not stop the recall. He was waiting for his team before pressing Q, so just a little bit off there on timing. The fact that you don't have to interact with waves once you press 2 buttons makes it so easy. The fact that you can just use Q on bushes as well on such a low cooldown means scouting for the enemy. You should very rarely get caught.
Speaking of scouting, Decoy is doing just that. Finds himself off, 50% less HP for it. Headbutt combo into Praetor, and not really the target he's after.
Just too much control.
To really
It's
disengage
way
away,
too much
yeah.
control. Look at how far back the Direwolves are forced to walk. Cupcake loses half his health trying to help Shock. Shock, with his full combo, did half health on Decoy, which is definitely not the way that you want these trades to be playing out. This Baron all but secured.
It's just gone. So much vision that PGG have that you said it, Direwolves had to play defensive. They couldn't even walk around the long way. It took too long. The Baron was just taken in a heartbeat. 8k gold lead now. And if they can find themselves another successful siege, looking to put a bow on it.
And no matter how many QSSs you have at this point, maybe you stop Malzahar from flash ulting you. It's not going to actually help you win team fights with the gold deficit that they have found. Claire has a decent CS advantage, but the turrets make up for that. You know, a similar thing can be said through a lot of players when they get leads on this Direwolves comp. Right now, a lot of the emphasis, you know, Herald summons, it went towards the Gnar, but can Gnar win team fights? Probably not against the enemy team. A little bit too much mobility there. He definitely can't do it alone.
Certainly a tall ask for Claire to go in this time. So much that he has to contend with. Cupcake very fragile, as you can see on display so far. A couple of autos cycling through, hits the Q, and well, that's enough for an Alistar to be zoned away from the turret, forced to walk outside of his base just to get back to the fountain. Elsewhere on the map, Only is looking for the kill on towards the Urgot. That's one Baron buff removed. 3 members of PGG though, still stand strong, and they will take down that mid inhibitor.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where you're really head-scratching if you're BioPanther. Why are they here? What exactly is here for them when we've taken a literal inhibitor and a bot lane in a turret, and now we're threatening the rest? Only still topside, but that is just like the state of this game, right? There's really nothing for them to get.
Oh no, instant cleanse comes out of that one. True shot barrage is there, but hits the climb! Papu, what was that? Absolute godlike machine, this man. Then the kick to follow up. 2 members there. Claire jumps in. Has Gnar ready to use it. Not going to find it just yet. 2 members locked in place. But it's just so much mobility. This Lee Sin will not die. He's tagged up. He is low. The Gore Drinker is there, but he may have just done enough individually and as a collective, because PGG have now found themselves a second inhibitor. Not a single member has fallen on down. And despite one member going back to base, he's going to TP straight back in and look to end this game.
Pretty risky decision here. They're lacking in a lot of health bars, but they're definitely far enough ahead to have a crack, and they are going for it.
30 seconds left on this Baron buff. How much work can Direwolves do to try and stop this one? Claire close to Mega once more. Gunkrab doesn't have the chance of corruption, but looking to try and keep that on hit out. Claire cleanses himself out of the Urgot ultimate. Then they jump on through, but a silence just completely interrupts both the Alistar as well as the LeBlanc. Triple kill here for Praetor, and he's looking for the self, that perfect pentakill. He'll get the
And they got him
Quadra,
four.
and his team will end the game before there is 24 minutes in. And that's as clean as it comes.
Yeah, what more can you possibly want from Pensinet.gg in a game like that? It was a clean victory from start to finish, really. Direwolves left reeling after a game like that. Their strategy's been exposed. The draft of Pensinet.gg, I can't actually speak positively towards it enough. The fact that, we spoke about this all game, Skimmy, but there is the QSS tax from a Malzahar, but consider using that and suddenly Urgot ults you. You need QSS for the Urgot ult as well, so a little bit too difficult to actually contend with them if they get any early leads. And they drafted really well for early skirmishes around mid-jungle and good movements from supports as well to make that happen. Just clean from PGG, way too clean, and Direwolves really need to mix up their strategy now.
But I suppose now, right, the next 10 minutes between games 2 and 3 become the most important 10 minutes to really sum up the entire season, really, for Direwolves, as to what do we change, what worked, what didn't. Do we just give away to LeBlanc and not look to try and take that potential matchup that could be risky? I mean, Mac, you look at a series like that and think you've just gone from a 40-minute banger where it really could have gone either way into a 20-minute destruction. You're thinking, where's the headspace at? Where's the drafting at? These coaches are put on a bit of a clinic.
It's one of those things where everything just changes, You're like expecting it to be another one of these banging entertaining series. And I guess it was, especially for all the PGG fans out there, but it was just so damn one-sided. And even when Direwolves thought that they had angles in, it was at that point where, there was just so much of a lead, so much of a gap at that point where PGG was just able to turn around all the team fights, all those initiations, and really just show that they were the better team this game. But at least for Direwolves, they have one more game to prove themselves.
Yeah, they definitely have another chance. And, one thing the Direwolves did do in this game is they chose blue side after their loss. They may consider red side if they're going to look for the LeBlanc strategy, certainly possible. I think I'm still preferential to red side drafting. And I think what we saw from PGG there was their hand was shown and it was wildly successful. So that LeBlanc, like you mentioned, maybe not as avid a consideration. Because still the players are resilient enough to continue this best of 5 and put their best foot forwards. We know that, but this was a shellacking.
Certainly was. Now, I guess, all things considered, this didn't feel like that much of a game from Direwolves, considering what we saw from them yesterday and what we saw from them even in game 1, just getting very, very up in the face of PGG. And now it starts to feel like one of those situations where we saw for both the teams that lost yesterday, where it seems like maybe there was the mental boom going into this one. The coach said they didn't want that to happen to them, but maybe even just the mental for PGG was so strong they knew what to do and executed much better in game 2.
I'm really curious now because we've seen Direwolves stick to a lot of comfort champions for a very long time. You heard it from the coach interview there from Farmer. You've seen it from the regular season closing out Split 2, what they've been doing. You've got the comfort picks adapting from game 1 to 2, a few tweaks there. You're starting to think, all right, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt, play comfort, win from that point, but at what point does it become too predictable where PGG say, we know what you're going to play, you've got this, we respond with that, and, given how close game 1 was, you come into game 2, and it just looked a completely different story. So I'm very curious going into this next matchup, sort of what changes happen. Not a complete overhaul, because I'm sure it's going to be too jarring, but maybe something that they've been preparing for a rainy day needs to come out tonight.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I guess, in terms of all the things going on there with the items, do you think the itemization was key, or do you think it was just one of those things where the snowball started to roll a little bit too quickly and then Direwolves just couldn't get back?
I think it was just snowball. To be honest, like the itemization was of necessity, and when behind, that only gets exacerbated further, right? And it did feel like we spent 20 minutes of that game chasing the inevitability of the outcome, and there was nothing that Direwolves could actually throw into the mix that was going to thwart that at all.
It was, a bit of an awkward situation. However, they do have a third game that they can maybe turn things around with. But of course, it is going to take a break before we get to game 3. So don't go too far, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your DoorDash. Enjoy this song from Warner, and we'll see you after the break.
True shot barrage is there, but hits the climb. Poppy, what was that? Absolute godlike machine, this man. Then the kick to follow up. 2 members there. Claire jumps in. Has Nart ready to use. They're not going to find it just yet. 2 members locked in place. But it's just so much mobility. This Lee Sin will not die. He's tagged up. He is low. The Gore Drinker is there, but he may have just done enough individually and as a collective, because PGG have now found themselves a second inhibitor. Not a single member has fallen on down. And despite one member going back to base, he's going to TP straight back in and look to end this game.
start and had to do a lot of figuring out and problem solving issues within the team. And I think we're on an upwards trajectory. I just hope that when the time comes to playoffs, we can perform much better than we did last time.
And if you didn't know, now you do know Gunkrab. He certainly has had a pretty decent split, having to play a couple of different roles, but here he is back in the ADC position at the moment for Direwolves. And fortunately for the team that does lose today, not going to say it is going to be Direwolves because a reverse sweep still may happen from this point. They do have a second chance because it is still the upper bracket, so they will be going down to that lower bracket game, which will be next week after the other lower bracket game, which at the moment is Order and Peace, which is going to be a pretty big game for them. But for now, of course, we do have one more game. Now, before we jump into Champ Select, I just need everyone out there, including specifically Carbon and Tallywhacker, to know that they are wrong. We are currently in a heated debate that the pizza selection around this area, and what's the best? And I'm right, and they're wrong, and it is I Love Manouche. So if you are getting pizza in the, I guess, Cumberland area, make sure you use I Love Manouche because they got some banger pizzas. Peri Peri Chicken, Supreme, and the cheese pizza. Very damn
awesome,
good.
Mac.
So anyway, Champ Select's
awesome,
ready.
Mac.
I just needed to be right. Champ Select's ready. So, yeah.
Might have Carbon running into this room in a second, looking to try and protest that one.
Make sure they can't talk back when you say it. Save it for broadcast. That's what I do. I love
a little
it.
broadcast delay, and he's going to be looking to try and get your DMs off for that one. PGG going to pick up the blue side this time. You mentioned how influential red side has been, your preference towards it. Direwolves going to take that opportunity, and I think Juve's sort of summed it up best, right? How game 3 can be so dangerous when you're in a 2-0 because you might look to try and ease off the brakes a little bit. Say, you know, this one seems to be done. The team was a bit of a pushover with such a commanding game 2 victory. You know, it's something that you've got to be scared about, right? Because you can start to dig deep, and Direwolves could look to try and pull up an ace.
I mean, I think that's a fair point, and it's definitely something that may happen. And that tends to go away with one experience. Like, you know that you have to close games out. There's no such thing as a completed series until the final buzzer, right? So you have to play it out. And also, when you're against a 0-2 opponent, while it may feel like the series is over, that's also when they're most against the wall, and that may be when you get, you know, abstract picks, maybe pocket picks, maybe they do something strategically, and you now have to adapt to the fact that you might be dealing with the unknown. Definitely something worth considering. We're already 3 picks into this one though, Skimmy, and I was going to mention this before. I believe you yelled it as we were going to break, ban the Lee Sin. I was hoping they'd pick it. If they were going to stay blue side, I was hoping Direwolves would pick the Lee Sin, but they did switch to red side, prioritize the Ziggs, and what they took away instead was the Rakan.
Yeah, the Rakan's been doing a lot of work here for Decoy so far, both being a deterrent to engage, but also just finding some fantastic, sort of more easily accessible engages compared to likes of an Alistair, compared to likes of a Gnar that has to really try and overextend himself to make that play happen. Once you're in, you're in. You know, it feels a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving for the Rakan to try and pull off that kind of play. Shocker's going to get himself that Zoe. We've seen him do it in time and time again. Gives Direwolves a whole lot of ranged poke to start off with, right? You're looking at the Zoe to get a trouble bubble. There's the Ziggs to guarantee the damage afterwards. Look to try and, you know, buffer PGG's health bars before they go for this commit style with the Lee Sin and Diana. So I'm interested in these next few picks to see what direction and response we see.
We've seen a Kindred ban here by PGG, which is a pretty big sign of respect. Now, the Kindred is decent into the Diana, which is maybe one of the reasons that you would see that. Coupled with the LeBlanc ban, we definitely have a couple of different choices here by PGG now that they're on the blue side of the coin. In saying that, this shouldn't be too surprising when you've gone for a magic damage heavy mid laner. What I like about this is that we've taken away the Xin Zhao completely. We've just said that, you know, only as a capable carry player, and the Xin's fine, but it's not doing what we need it to do. We know that our matchup is a Diana this time around as well. The one thing that has changed here is a priority towards both Praedyth champions in the second ban phase, though, Skimmy. They've left open the big dog Ornn, and they will be locked in straight away.
Yeah, he's not going to waste his time with that one. Biopo does have a bit of a champion Ocean. Was wondering if we would get to see anything crazy. You mentioned the likes of Mordekai's. We've seen Yorick in the past too. Date back to the start of Split 2. Played Lulu top there. If they really wanted to get on the hype train of empowering the likes of Praedyth. But he delved into the realms of an Urgot, and that will be all. Ashe has been banned in games 1 and 2. Now Hobbit and locked in. So you've got yourself A very strong sense of engage and a lot of follow-up afterwards.
Yeah, Ash pretty good into Zoe as well because it's very predictable where she's going to be. It makes it quite easy to sit off vision and throw your ultimate and almost guarantee that that one will hit. Zig's also low mobility champion, waiting to see what Dials choose to go for last here. It should be in the hands of Claire, whatever they choose to go. This was another champion that was often played by Dials yesterday. I think their first 2 games were on the Renekton and it looked solid, but it does force a top-heavy playstyle where you would expect Only and Claire will be playing around each other a little bit more. In saying that, it is a red 5th pick Renekton into an Ornn who has a free scaling lane now, which is definitely into the wheelhouse of Pentanet.gg. So it does seem like Claire's just going to go back to a champion that he is clearly performing better on than perhaps the others. Camille's his standout. Renekton has now definitely risen up as one of his top 2 picks.
If you look at his last 8 games, it really has been a cycle of Camille, Renekton, and 1 game of Na'Vi. He stuck to a core rotation of 3 champions, perfected them, and looked to try and utilize them to their fullest extent. But you come into this matchup here, and it feels like you're giving PGG the gauntlet saying, you can have scaling. We're going to try and run the early game once more with a Graves, with a Renekton. We want to try and get ourselves with a 5k lead, but then actually run that one home. Look to try and end it as a result. And I think it's going to be very interesting this time around. If they don't get that gold lead, if they don't find themselves in a point of power, if Lee Sin on Pabu can pop off again, you're starting to wonder, I don't see how else the narrative unfolds here for Dials.
The interesting thing here as well, though, is that they saved their Renekton 5th pick for the counter pick for Claire. Like, if you're going to go Renekton, usually you just first 3 anyway, so that you have a more potent counter pick for mid lane. But perhaps they were so afraid of PGG giving, 7 bans towards Shock, as they want to do, that they opted into this weird draft. I'm not sold on it, if I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't like saying that when I'm looking at a 0-2 down team in a best-of-5 series, but it does leave a little bit to be desired in the way that they drafted it. It still has potential as we get onto the Rift. 100%, they're good on all of their champions. PGG have shown that they're not an impenetrable fortress. Like, they have got points where they are still feeling a little bit weak, and their comp in this game is lacking a little bit in some damage if Pabu falls behind.
Well, let's see what they can do. It's been a long time coming. The matchup that many people have been very excited to see, as this will grant a team a chance to get into the grand final.
They're looking for Pabu here in the dot bush with a Rakan W, but they didn't play around it. It was cute.
Bush tactics, isn't it?
What we may not have seen there is that Rakan would have W'd over the wall very early. Once he got out of lane, was definitely going to be waiting in the area. Or he got in there and walked in there first, but the tendencies aren't always going to be the same. And this time around, they do just walk away and we dissipate Skimmy to a pretty standard level 1. Teams just grouped a bit more than usual.
It was interesting to see how junglers can maneuver around the map if they can get themselves either the ward down, reset into the oracles afterwards, and look to be aggressive in this occasion though. Pabu's going to get in that top pixel bush and evade any crazy level 1 cheese. Both going to start off here with the blue buff, assisted by a nice little leash too.
No information beyond that though, right? We don't necessarily know where Dials has started. You can see though, so if we were to infer information, if you're on PGG's side right now, you know that they leashed bottom because they didn't start in lane. So you have priority down here, and they're playing aggressively as a result.
Certainly are. Decoy hits the hook, and as a result, they come out ahead. Pot shots traded, autos between the 2 of them. Now those potions will start to come out to top members up, but Decoy going to be very keen to play off that Aftershock passive all day long and just zone him away from this wave.
And extra potions in the pockets of Praedyth as well, because he's gone for the longsword with 3 regular potions, not the refillable. Also has the cookies. Eat some biscuits and be pretty well off. The hook just going wide this time, but still lots of control bottom. So the thing is, just to quickly reiterate, Graves is not going to be a standard level 2 ganking jungler, so the fact that you've seen them leash, you have free priority bot lane, you're able to hit that home and know that Only's going to, as per standard you would say, go for a full clear. It's a nice trade mid.
Certainly is. Shot down to half. All he can respond back though is with a sleep. Not getting any trade damage afterwards. Should be an exciting little matchup here for Chaz to keep tabs as to where the Zoe is going to go, follow things up with. You already touched on how the Ash arrow can also be very good and premeditated as to where it's going to land.
It also means Ornn has a very similar job, Skibby, so it's quite a powerful comp here from PGG, particularly through their team fighting. A lot of it is going to be, I want to say front to back around the Ashe, but at the same time, their flanks that they have is insane, right? Lee Sin from a flank, Diana from a flank, Ornn ultimate from teleport flanks. It's just so difficult to actually, you know, visualize what you're going to be dealing with come the team fights. Vision's going to be a lot of it pun aside. As to how you actually set up for these fights, because for Direwolves, you need the vision to actually set up those set plays. You have to be able to hit the bubble, you know, hit the Ricard engage. Graves is there as follow-up. You've got Renekton, who's probably going to be an important factor as well come team fights. Definitely needs to be brought into the mix, but if you bring Renekton, you're probably bringing Ornn, and that's always a risk.
Be exciting to keep tabs on how this top lane matchup does plan out. If Bio can get some nice early trades and basically say, well, the early game has been nullified, and I just offer a fraction more if this was to go on. Quickly touching on the Graves rune choice, we have seen in the jungle a big preference towards Dark Harvest. We've seen 2 games of mid Graves, and that was with the Electrocute, but only is opting for the Electrocute in the jungle this time around. There is the trading pattern that we highlighted. Both come out with 50% remaining. Pabu's here.
He'll get spotted right now. If they just go for the dive, they've also got decoy in the area if they want to wait. They're going.
He's not been spotted as well. He's not been caught on any vision. There's nothing there in try. The vision's elsewhere, but a gank elsewhere for Direwolves. 3 members collapse on mid! And the Ignite will secure it. That's picked up by Cupcake. First blood is there. Now, attention to Claire. Can anybody get there in time to trade if he falls on down? There's a TP to back him up initially. He flashes. He hopes. Bio survives. Just out of range there for a second turret shot. Pabu falls to flash away as well. There's the hook. There's the re-engage. Now onto Gun Crab. But a fantastic sleep from the Zoe and a flash stolen away for the extra damage on that auto attack is there. So much CC, but sidesteps away from the grand entrance, and they can't do much more than that. 2 very low members, but they've just got away.
Geez, they'll be lucky to get away with their lives intact for the rest of Pentanet.gg, but still favorable in the end by Direwolves. The fact that they're able to get back into the mix, teleports top to protect Claire. Only about to be spotted here. He's going to be pushed away, so it means that he won't be able to go for the Gromp and Wolf camp. So Bio's teleport to protect the jungle. But it was so premeditated and planned by Pentanet.gg in vision of Direwolves, right? They're staunching at a turret for an entire wave. So it was inevitable. And that means that Direwolves are able to set up well in advance that they're going to both be teleporting when possible for the play. And you've got Guncrab and Shock getting into the mix, making those kills happen after their play in mid. So a bit of a 2-for-1 special there from Direwolves as a whole.
Not too bad there to try and stabilize things. They're going to be kicking themselves. They weren't able to pick up those extra 2 kills though, but that is the situation we find ourselves in right now. But they're not done yet. They're going to run it back, respawn, and retry. Because this time the Crocodile doesn't have level 6, he doesn't have Flash. Nice slice and dice, but only 1 charge of it. That'll get him out of the Ornn ultimate. And the Ornn himself is just far too tanky. Very similar setup. He soaks up the turret shots, but he just won't fall down.
Yeah, and this Renekton pick, unfortunately, is not going to be able to do anything to survive with this many members of Pentanet.gg coming into the mix. Chaz has been a bit of a point of focus on the other side of the coin here. You know, trying to keep Shock in his laning phase. Has the Ignite ready with his Unsealed Spellbook as well. Can be quite a menace. One thing we haven't touched on too much, may have to play passively at the current moment, is Praetor's been having a pretty free time down bottom lane by himself. So the experience difference potentially between both carries is noteworthy, as he is, you know, a couple of minions away from level 6 with solo laners.
And as you can see in the graph there, he's not going to be too far away from that ultimate. And then can look to be aggressive individually, or look to try and contribute a cross-map arrow. Because so far, PGG have identified a lane to target, get themselves ahead early, nullify complete champion, and just play things out. No rush, no concern.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, scaling is not something that I think Pentanet.gg are afraid of too much. They certainly have some solid scaling options. Zoe is one of those champions that, you know, you get the first Ludens purchase, you're a nightmare, but you start to peter off a little bit when magic resistance comes across. Certainly a composition that you can buy magic resistance against, right? Like your Wit's End for Ashe. Certainly an option. It seems to be a build that Praetor is quite fond of. Maybe the point that he goes towards Ornn being a tank is obviously going to have plenty of resistances, and Renekton can't win lane forever. Unless he goes for a split push build with like a Blade of the Ruin King Rush, which is not the first time we would see it, but it's not common.
Let's keep tabs on why this was banned away so often against Praetor and what build comes out as a result afterwards. Bio very happy with his lane state, whilst he's even in CS for the most part. He's up with 2 assists, rushed at Bramble once again, making it so hard for a response back here from the top side of Direwolves.
You know, it's funny, I've always been one of the people that have been anti-Ashe a lot of the time in the LCO when we see most of the drafts, and a lot of the Ashes have lost. It basically comes down to a checklist skimmy of can they kill me? Very easily. The fact that the team with the Ashe also has the Diana on their team, right? Like they have the champions that are assassins that will kill you on their own team means that it's easier to be Ashe.
Yeah.
Renekton can get onto you with Flash, yes. Zoe can hit you with bubbles, of course that's going to be a threat. That'll be a threat for anyone. But it's a Graves and a Ziggs who aren't, like, you know, covering thousands of units as assassins. High damage, but you have the potential to play around them. This is definitely a composition where an Ashe can survive and potentially excel. And also provide that extra added engage like their composition needed any more of that. Direwolves, just quickly to touch on it though, certainly have damage. They have an abundance of damage. And once they start to get those mythics, can almost just brute force their way through fights by kicking them off first and having enough damage to secure kills.
Just looking at that mid lane, you really want to see the Zoe hit a point of power, find the angles with the terrain to get that sleepy treble bubble, traveling thousands of kilometers. But Direwolves continue to invest in this mid lane, so much so they've actually brought down Claire from the flank. He's got no TP, a 4-man collapse on mid lane with the Dragon already having spawned. It's been up for a fair bit. No attention towards it. No team really feeling too burdened or pressured to go for it. There's vision on that blast cone, so Direwolves now kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place as to do we play for mid, do we go for bot, where's the rotation? Chaz goes up to that wave, and that's going to be the grand entrance to start things off with. There's the bubble afterwards. Can they get the damage with the paddle star? Well, the collateral damage was there, but it's just far too far away.
Yeah, the collateral damage was never really going to hit. The ward was already placed. Like, we all knew where Chaz was going. So I'm not sure there was too much of a necessity to throw that one. Either way, you've seen Shock handedly keeping priority in this middle lane, thanks to the rest of the team always hovering him. A couple helicopter parents is all it takes to win mid, confirmed. Beyond that, though, it's not getting them anything other than farm onto him. Again, still waiting for that first mythic spike. Same can be said for Guncrab. Same can be said for Only. Most of the movements that we've seen that are aggressive have been around Cupcake on this Rakan, but the teleports are coming in, Skimmy. This could well be a fight.
Both teams want the force. The Enchanted Crystalera does connect onto the Graves. He's looking to try and dash on through to get the armor, but he can't do much about that. There's the sleep. The re-engage now onto the Dragon with the numbers advantage to play for it. Smite secures it. And now a TP to try and back up the Direwolves as Guncrab's being isolated, but then Chaz can't find the kill because Cupcake jumped in, then the Satchel charge away, the flash to follow, the kill to get, and Shock to try and find some damage to at least take down someone. They can't find anything. Multiple members low, but the target selection's just not there.
It's just not a cohesive front here from the Direwolves. They're constantly being picked apart, pushed around. Decoy just gets obliterated by Shock. Real flash used on the Zoe, and he's hunting maybe for a second one here.
No, he hits a dab on his former teammate in Decoy. And looking for that second one, but not going to get connected on. Is he going to go for the flash? He did something crazy in Order's game last night. We flashed across, just go for the trade. Now Pabu's looking to hunt for it and says, thank you very much for that one. I'll burn a flash any day of the week. I'll hit the Moonfall, and I'll do battle with your jungler as well. But both realize it's probably a little bit too much to bite off at this point. But another game, and Pabu's really getting ahead.
And it starts with the Ashe arrow here. Pabu uses the Drake as a springboard to get in and find Only, and already their jungle is gone. And then, of course, the combo here is okay. It does a lot of damage to Decoy and Praetor, but Chaz gets into the mix. The teleport's so late from Claire that he's not actually going to do anything other than be stuck in a 1v4, and Praetor simply flashes away to the point where the damage won't be coming from and is able to survive, while Chaz on the other side was getting those kills. So a little bit messy here from Direwolves. If that was a fight that they're going to be committing to, or if that's a fight that you know PGG are going to be committing to, you have to play more carefully around it. Either you back away and give it, or you commit the teleport from Claire earlier and fight it.
Feels like when they're getting picked off like this, where PGG is staying strong as a 5-man and Direwolves are fleeing away in individual packs. It's making it very easy for the likes of Elise as well as that Diana, just to take you down first before that Zoe can look to answer back. Early days, only 13 minutes in, and it's already PGG with that 2,000 gold lead. Gonna be feeling pretty happy with how this game's playing out. The fact that Bio's ahead, that this Diana's already strong.
I mean, really, from this point, it is a 3,000 gold difference. At 13 minutes, that is a pretty big difference overall. We're still looking at Shock, though. He really has been the shining light of Direwolves through this series, it feels like. Even in the first game loss, he was like 5-0-5 scoreline.
Yeah.
You are expecting big things from the mid laner of Direwolves. This is a pretty big mountain to climb, but if anyone can do it right, it is going to be the man who's gapping in mid lane all season. Currently, the only person with a gold value to rival the rest of his opponents. So, don't expect too much, but expect big things from Shock if you want Direwolves to win.
For that, Paddle Star won't connect. A hook is, well, it was nice, but the portal was always there to return him back. Mega Inferno Bomb will not connect. Now PGG can look to put pressure on the lane once again and hunt for this first turret that seems to elude them. I mean, there's pressure topside and Praetor is looking for that 1v1. Has full Skunk Crab to go back to base, and that turret being so fragile may just fall down.
Yeah, he also used the Mega Inferno Bomb for maybe a bit of poke mid. It missed, so there's no way he's going to be able to defend this turret with it. So it's just going to be an inevitable turret falling here. Praetor's going to be that player. He's going to proxy the next wave, make sure the the turret kills as many minions as possible. Take the first turret of the game and back himself away. Still definitely Pentanet.GG in the driver's seat, with a lot of summoner spells going awry after that last dragon fight, Skimmy. Only really one teleport left remaining, and that's in the hands of Chaz. I think with the way that the map is currently set up, you would start to actually put him into a side lane, bring the Nautilus and the Ashe towards mid with this deploy, and start to utilize the fact that they have such hard engage from that duo to work with Pabu.
He could find himself a bit of success in that bot lane if he was to look to try and sub out with Bio, as it seems to be the case. Bot tier 1 is very low as well. Could be 2 easy turrets, 2 side lanes in to play around, get some vision, and look to get a flanking angle on. Pabu looking to do it all on his own right now. Is this the arrow? This the execute, but Pabu to pick it up. Zoe has been removed, down for 30 seconds, and a max range hook from Decoy. That was disgusting. Take all these turrets, take all the kills,
still going,
and see what PGG can do to try and find more. They've got themselves a 2-man headbutt. Gunkrab can't do much about that. A volley, an arrow, an auto attack to secure it. And PGG just have so much momentum.
And what did we say, Skibby? We said in the draft phase it's difficult to be a Zoe. And we're expecting things from Shock in an impossible situation because he is that good of a player. But it's as quite as simple as seeing him use a portal jump, seeing a Diana jump on his head immediately afterwards. They know his flash is down. The Ashe arrow follows. And that is all she wrote for Zoe's chances at surviving. Difficult situation to be Direwolves in. Waiting for those summoner spells to come back as soon as possible. But in the meantime, that gold stretches from a 2,000 gold lead to a 5,000 gold lead and can 100% just springboard out of control here. We'll see it again. We won't see what happens before the pick, but quite simply know that Shock had nowhere to go. He was just done for. Great hook from Decoy as a follow-up to Biopanther's ultimate. And then Chaz with a very wide flank through the structures are able to make sure they continue this fight onwards and look for themselves a Ziggs as a third pick.
Well, this is the PGG you fell in love with, and this is the one that defied all expectations at MSI, broke some records, and went the furthest they've ever done before. They are playing with so much confidence right now, getting stuff done in the early game, bringing the heat, running it back, and looking to try and do it one more time. Claire locked inside the pit. I think he's already burnt that slice and dice. He'd had to try and flash away, but he doesn't want to unless he really has to. He flashes away, procs to Dominus, realizes that that's not an escape plan, because there's members waiting for me there too. Now Chaz is seemingly the focus as the charm goes out. 2-man grand entrance, but what can a Rakan do on his own? Absolutely nothing. He needs follow-up, and he just won't find it. The collateral damage is there, but Chaz can secure the kill. This Lee Sin, ban it, remove it. A little too late. A 5k lead has just become that much more.
Yeah, this Lee Sin definitely a bit too strong for this whole series for PGG. Flexed between multiple lanes as well is something we've definitely seen from them before. And it is widely successful this time around. Pabu showing up this time. You know, during the regular season, we said this about Pabu's Diana. It was the mechanics were fine, but he didn't look like the one-trick Dianas that we've seen from players like Gudo running through the league. This time around, it has been a very clean affair from Pabu individually and working with his team as a whole. So really impressive stuff from Pentanet.gg as a unit.
Minute away before that Baron spawns. And whilst game 1 was crazy with Baron steals between both junglers, from game 2 onwards, with leads like this in the early game, PGG have had the understanding and the ability to close things out very swiftly. Now, I suppose possess the question to you, Rusty. Is there a comeback condition here for Direwolves? Is it a break point that we need? Maybe 2 items for the Shock Zoe, or has the ship sailed with enchanted arrows this, just landing and finding kills? There's the hook once again. We'll forget that question for a moment because the action is there. A lone Rakan, a single support, can't do much about that. He wanted vision, but he'll find a grey screen.
And these arrows just do not miss, man. This mid lane outer turret, Shock's going to try his best. Good damage.
Nice stopwatch, cancels out the exhaust and the damage afterwards. There's the bomb, and that's the shutdown. Dino's gone, but a fantastic knock-up from Biopan to make it a double. He's also been exhausted, and he may fall down for the very first time this game. Potential backup for Direwolves, some much-needed kills in a very one-sided affair. It's 13-5 so far. Chaz on his own will summon a Herald and say, I can lose some team members, but I can try and guarantee this mid-tier 1. There's another knock-up. Cupcake has returned. That shows you how long this fight's been going on for. And eventually, only gets himself a kill and a shutdown.
I mean, that was, that was a lot of an int from Chaz. I definitely did not need to do anything that he just did. Summoning the Herald on the flank was unnecessary, but I don't think he was expected to be contested as much as he was, and then just stayed. You know, I think he was looking for that montage kick and stayed for way too long. Was definitely punished for it. That was a very sad cannon. And Direwolves get 2 shutdowns, so I think both of them were 700 gold each. One into the hands of Shock. I think the other one was into the hands of Only.
Yeah, into Graves, that's right.
Which are probably the 2 most important members of this team. They are the highest damage sources. They're definitely the ones that have the most outplay. A couple of things that I was going to mention, Skimmy, you asked, is there a comeback mechanic? Graves with the lethality build definitely can one-hit carries. Easily one-hit carries. Unfortunately for him, you know, you've got the Zoni's Hourglass on the Diana. There's also 3 tanks. So it's all just going to be about one-hitting Praedyth. So Zoe is another person you have to look at. But again, 3 tanks, 3 magic resistance builders, potentially 4, maybe even 5. You've got the Wit's End already completed here from Praedyth. So they have to not only play perfectly, they have to do so in what I would say is an uphill battle against the itemization.
Very hard to take down this Ashe right now between a shield bow and a Wit's End. Mitigation to try and stem the bleeding between the burst of those 2 key carries that you've just highlighted for Direwolves. You can see how confidently PGD continue to play. A small blunder, they're not going to mind it too much. They've got the vision, they've got the zoning, mid lane belongs to them. Another dragon to spawn, up in 15 seconds, and this time, it's an Ocean Soul.
Yeah, this time, it's the first time this series we've seen a soul other than Cloud. It's going to be quite a big deal. Definitely something that will be fought over. For Direwolves fighting this one, they don't really have the luxury of a front-to-back composition by any means. They need a lot of setup and they need to hit picks before they consider that front-to-back fight. Oh, Claire.
Potential flank. Claire has been turned on, but a nice little turnaround there from Cupcake. Finds free, locks him in his sides. He goes drowsy. Lee Sin in trouble. Massive moonfall. There's the execute. Rakan gone. A double kill found here. Naked a double for him, in particular for Chaz. And Claire against the world. The Crocodile Hunter doing whatever he can. The Gore Drinker, the spin to win. The slice and dice. But the meat is all gone. The turret has fallen down. The setup just was not there. A very low Graves, but a very healthy PGG that'll pick up a dragon, pick up a fight, and go to Baron.
And the Rakan Ziggs combo, definitely something that has been practiced and rehearsed. We've seen in the LCO. We know what it does here with Direwolves. It's just a 0-3 Ziggs, right? With a 1-3 Rakan that is fragile. It is so difficult to turn that into kills, and Praetor gets to just walk away with his shield bow on wit's end. Only is going to push Chaz back, but Chaz was really just playing Zone D, trying to keep him off the Baron. We'll see this one more time. Claire, very far forward, has the flank angle here, and you can see how much damage they do under Praetor. But that's not the fight decided. You know, that's actually just an opportunity and an avenue of entry for both Pabu and Chaz to get into the mix. They hit their ultimates, double easily picked up there as well from Chaz, and they procure a monstrous gold lead after this fight with the Baron as well.
Well, just say they got themselves the reputation as the best team fighting team in the league for a good reason. Time and time again, they're just coming at them from two different angles, like a Hydra possessed. And we're doing it again. As Zoe, meant to one-shot, just got one-shot.
Yeah, Zoe's not going to have a good time for the rest of this game. There's the issue that you run into, right, when you're playing Zoe in this situation is you kind of want Zonians to survive. You also kind of want a Banshee's Veil to survive from Pabu if possible. You also need your Death Cap completed, but you also need a Void Staff, Skibby, because they're going to be building magic resistance. And it's just, there's not enough gold in the world to sate your desires and actually give you enough to win the game. And so he gets one hit because he goes for the magic penetration build. That is the trade-off. It's rough.
Well, the Baron Bow play is finding itself what it really desires. 5 members with the buff available to them can literally AFK mid lane, let the cannon do all the dirty work for them. They can look to crash a second wave as they've done so successfully all series long. Now look at Claire in the minimap. He's looking for that final play. Has a flash, has an ult, is level 13. As the arrow goes out, and the Call of the Forge God does too. Cupcake hunting for it, flash charm going on to Praetor, but he hits the stopwatch and cancels out all that burst. Now, is their position compromised? Can they find that kill? There is the shutdown for only the Graves lethality burst. But Claire will have to pay the price of falling down in that exchange. A 1-for-1, a trouble bubble is there. But they can just shield him and prevent an easy double kill pickup for Direwolves.
They are going to be able to disengage here. Pabu's going to stop as he's on a control ward, so the damage could come out.
Oh, he's doing it all on his own. Stop it. That is... what? It's illegal.
It's just filth. It's just filth.
It's just disgusting. Now Shock has nowhere to turn a portal, but you're coming right back into the clutch of our arms. Oh, Lee Sin and Diana, disgusting champions. They are playing a phenomenal series.
Gross champions, even worse went ahead. And now this mid lane inhibitor. The desperation play from Direwolves, the flank angle. I mean, it nets them a pick, and for just a moment there, it was promising. But then the chase, unfortunately, continued. And it is just a case of, you know, Zoe hits a bubble, or Zoe finds an awesome opportunity, an awesome flank, but Pidgey are too far ahead. You cannot disrespect them. Cupcake, you're literally 5 levels down, man.
Nearly got the solo kill, didn't it? They're trading blows with emotes and dances. But I tell you what, they're certainly not feeling the joyous occasion of that. Right now, PGG very confident. Maybe a little bit too confident, much to the dismay here of any Direwolves fan out there, because they are getting bullied in this game. Down 12,000 gold now.
Yeah, that's it though, right? Like, you are, realistically, you're at a point where the AD damage on the team is a bit behind. You've got a pretty big Graves. Like, it's by no means weak, but you've got a 0-6 Renekton, so you are a magic damage heavy team. And then you've got Chaz who can go Merc Tread Spirit Visage before even considering armor. So they're absolutely playing with them. It is easy to stack that magic resistance first and just play for killing the Graves. That's where they've been going so far.
Well, the writing may already be in the walls as to this game being done. One final dragon, 20 seconds, and that's there for the taking. Very hard for Direwolves to set up as they require to force this one to take it for themselves.
I mean, what do you do?
And I don't think PGG even care.
Run it down mid. You've just made a pick. You could consider the inhibitor before even looking at the Drake. But right now with that pick, you've 100% secured all vision around the dragon.
We've been clean all game long, but sometimes you miss those. 2 members here, Direwolves, down levels, down experience and gold and items and everything and more. Try to force the mismatch. Cupcake was the focus, and Clear was perhaps getting collapsed on.
I mean, you can tell they're desperate, Skibby. They're trying to fight for every inch of vision, and PGG are too far ahead to let that happen. The Dragon will eventually be secured by them because it is free, and it was free from the moment they got that first pick onto Gunkrab, who spawns now. Very easy stuff here from the side of Pentanet.gg. Bot lane in a turret free for the taking. If you wanted to be overly aggressive, you would move towards the mid lane inhibitor, but your vision isn't fully set in stone yet. So you play for the easy objective. And for Direwolves, really you just play around Ziggs existing and try and steal Baron, right?
No, Parbo doesn't want to do that. He just wants to flash in, hit a Hextech Proto Belt and say, we're ending it now. You can put me to sleep, but I'll come back awake and tell you this wasn't a dream. This is your worst nightmare, Direwolves, because you're going to lose this one 3-0. Back-to-back days, perfect series. And they may now just look to rub salt in the wounds here by looking to push all 3 lanes and make it so easy for them to close out this match. The desperation truly is on display here. Claire against the world on his own. He's a crocodile. He's got the early game, but he certainly can't do much when he's this far behind. It's just an easy picking for Parbo. 14 kills to 2. Diana is unstoppable, and he's not done yet, even if you run to that fountain.
Yeah, there's no way he's stopping. There's no way that Dyer will stop Pentanet.gg from getting to the LCO finals and winning this best of 5, one step closer to Worlds.
Well, the champions of Split 1 are running it back once again in Split number 2. They got the first seed, they got the bye run, they get the perfect 3-0, and they're your first team to make it to the grand finals.
Very clean stuff from PGG as a whole. You know, a couple of moments here and there where you have head scratches. Chaz a couple of times, Parbo the game prior. There was small moments here and there, but overall they were in control. From start to finish, they definitely deserve to be the victors in this series. A pretty clean 3-0 in the end. And unfortunately for Direwolves, you know, the team that got the 3-0 win yesterday, they now suffer at the hands of a 3-0 defeat for themselves. And remember that this is the team that you have to beat if you want to go to Worlds. And they have just beaten you 3-0, showing that they are the top seed in the LCO.
Well, Mac, we've been denied ourselves another full best of 5. It's another early night. As we've said, these teams are so close. What a split we've had, the closest in recent times. And they've said, you know what, forget that. Throw your notes away. 3-0s every day of the week.
Well, that's it. And Rusty, look, I know you didn't go for that 3-0, but I bet you wish you did because, mate, I'm catching up to you. I'm catching up. I'm doing it slowly but surely. 3-0, Pentanet, who I'm going to assume Twitch chat went for in the first place. I didn't even see that one because I was too busy watching the damn game. I forgot to see the graphic. However, big game again from Pentanet. You could see that Direwolves a few times. It looked like this play in particular, where Claire just jumped into 4 of Pentanet. I was watching that and thinking, what's going on here? Does he think his team's going back in on half HP? Or is it just like the, all right, I'm coming? Was it a slowpoke approach where he just did it a bit late? He should have done it earlier. Like, what was going on there? Please, if you could be in the head of Claire in that play, Rusty, please talk me through it.
I mean, the teleport positioning was pretty front and center. It's just that the rest of his team was backing away at the same time. So 100%, you could say that teleport, if done faster, could have meant more for helping his team, where Chaz was murdering them all. A lot of this game, though, was down to the fact that Claire was already basically 0-3 at the point of that teleport. If it was an even kill game, perhaps that is a different outcome. You know, perhaps he is able to one-hit Praetor. Either way, the rest of this game with Claire and with Cupcake was kind of a battle of 2 members flanking, but they had no front ranks. So it was impossible to play. Parbo and Chaz just ripped them asunder. It was so easy for those 2.
Yeah, it was a very, very rough game for Direwolves, and it seemed like maybe the mental took a toll, or maybe it was just Pentanet putting their foot down and saying, hey, that consistency which you questioned at the start of the split, well, it's back, and we are winning everything. They want everything, and they want to send their way to Worlds because they already had a pretty good run at MSI, and now they're in the grand final here of the DoorDash LCO once again. And they might be able to find the repeat, which would be very interesting considering it is not the first grand final of the DoorDash LCO now. And all things considered, I enjoyed watching this series, especially getting my prediction right. That definitely helped out a little bit. But I'm I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit more from Direwolves because they do have that second chance when they go to the lower bracket. Them either against Order or Peace after how we see that lower bracket game goes. But for now, Direwolves, they are just hitting their stride just when it's necessary.
It's just crazy to me that, you know, that Pensnet can have those blips, right, during Split 2, that they can go to MSI, pop off like they did, come back, and people are like, hang on a minute, we thought you were beating, like, you know, these top teams, you know, having fun with RNG, taking down Unicorns of Love, then coming back and, you know, having some questionable decisions, but they've clearly ramped up. They've said, look, you know, we're not concerned. You heard it from Chaz's pre-game interview with Matt. Oh, yeah, we're really scared, you know, we're looking like the underdogs. They just seem to have such a laid-back attitude, and I don't know what it is, but it just seems like every game we've had so far in these playoffs, the first game is as close as it comes, but it then truly sets the tone because game 2 and 3 feel like a bit of a blowout by that point.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that. And I guess I was watching those player cams. They didn't look chilled and relaxed in a lot of the player cams. Some of them did. Some of them looked sort of attentive and quiet. But then I think Praedyth in particular, I saw him every time there was like about to be a fight, you'd see him sort of just go, like, get ready to just like jump at the monitor and start just like yapping, like, yeah, go. You're like, I don't know exactly what he was saying because I can't hear, but I'm a mouth reader. Hey, Skimmy, say something to me. But
oh my god!
But don't say it without words, without volume.
Oh, you got me very excited.
Oh, you said, oh my god, even I can do that one.
Oh my god, something. Whoa, what? I saw a what?
Skimmy talks too fast. I couldn't.
There you go,
I couldn't get
man's
that one.
Crazy, man's crazy.
Rap god.
Well, that's why I have the moustache, right? So if anyone ever tries to lip read me, they just can't really read it because a lot of the time you can't even see my mouth moving, especially when I do this. Anyway, Nat, how good are you at ventriloquism?
Ventriloquism or lip reading? Because I feel like they're two very different things.
Thoughts on kiteboarding?
So do you like orange juice? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we do have a winner's interview.
We do. I am going to be joined by Praedyth. Congratulations, Praedyth, on the win. That series was absolutely amazing from you guys. I don't think there were really any mistakes at all, but how are you feeling coming off of that one?
Yeah, super confident in our abilities. I knew, like, throughout this whole split, we just wanted to, like, have more styles and just, like, do more things with everyone, like, involve everyone, like, make everyone be a carry some games, you know, like, I can pick what I want, or I can pick for pro, like, pick Ashe, like, be a dog. Just, like, all those little cogs in the engine are finally all working, something like that. I don't know, an analogy or something, but yeah.
Yeah, something about a well-oiled machine is the normal go-to, but I like your cogs all working. That one's probably my favorite now. But it was looking really good for you guys. I want to talk a little bit about the draft between those three games. We did see a lot of priority for that Lee Sin, and I kind of want you to explain to me why for that, but also just anything interesting that came out of the draft for you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go too in depth, but there's just like first pick priorities, right? So like there's a list of priorities that you would first pick, and then for us, like it was Lee Sin when like certain conditions were met, and I think like I think we flexed it jungle and mid this set, so it's like a flex pick, it's a strong first pick. I think blue side's just about having a strong first pick and then like working from there. And then for me, I think like the meta right now, a lot of people just like pick for pro, like pick Ashe and stuff. But I think for this series, their support is someone who is not very good at laning and will just like roam like non-stop. So I know that like I can pick whatever I want into these guys. So I was like dropping a lot to like see the comp and then picking it accordingly. And then I think like for example game 1. Like I had I was going to carry that game always, and then game 2 I was just like whatever, like we could play to both sides, and then game 3 was like we don't want to play to bot side, and I think that like showed, and yeah, I'm really like proud of the team and how we've progressed throughout these weeks.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing to see that you guys are always bouncing back, always bringing new things out. With all the games, though, I have to say, you know, a pretty big commonality would have been sort of the aggression that we saw coming out of you. Game 1, maybe not as much, but 2 and 3, definitely. You guys were always on that hunt, always, you know, getting pickoffs, winning team fights. Do you think that that's just something you guys excel at over Direwolves, or is there more to a key of success for that?
Well, game 1, I think like teams get a lot of nerves, so like I don't think we were playing well at all, and So I was just telling my team like, yeah, if we just make late game, like I'll 1v9 the game. So just like non-int, like we won't fight anything early, like just give me my items. And like fortunately, we got away with it. And then the rest of the games, yeah, like definitely I think our team as well as the other team, Peace, us and Peace are like very good at like bringing our support to plays and like making plays across the map and just like accelerating the game really fast. So I think that's what you saw games 2 and 3, where everyone's like nerves were going and our drafts were more like coherent and we could do more things early. So yeah, I think it's a very like that's the thing we're very good at.
Yeah, definitely. That confidence came out and it was just all over for Direwolves, it seemed. But look, congratulations again on the win and thank you so much for walking me through that series.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. You heard it from Marky Mark without the funky munch this time. And he had a good couple of opinions there. And, you know, it was good to hear the insight as well. That game 1, which we thought was a very close game. The call was, all right, boys, just don't int for 40 minutes. Then I'll have my items and then I'll 1v9. What a call.
Easy to do, right?
I think that's what every Vayne player wants to do, right? They want to be the star of the show. You don't pick a champion like Vayne if you just want to be passively sitting back and letting somebody else pop off, right? And he certainly did, right? He gets a few items under his belt. And he's like, cool, we have hit that 40-minute mark. I can just 1v9, so yeah.
Well, he 1v9'd one game, but maybe not the other 2. So I don't think it's going to be him that got the player that delivered. Well, who could it be then? Well, let's have a bloody look. It was your boy in the jungle, Mr. Parbonator. Or Parbu for short. Here it is, DoorDash player that delivered, and we are going to see all 3 game stats here, Rusty. So quickly, before we jump through them, what do these numbers mean?
26 wards means he placed wards 26 times back.
Whoa!
He was involved in 73% of the kills. Parbu's first game was maybe the worst of the 3. In saying that, he still played perfectly fine. Just a couple of shaky moments in teamfights, but I feel like he got the jitters off in game 2. Same champion, 708. Definitely had a very good showing for himself, and as the series progressed, he only improved, only got better, and 100% is deserving of the player that delivered, particularly with this game 3 scoreline. Kind of went off.
Yeah, started to absolutely pop off indeed. 85% kill participation in that 3rd game, which is almost rivaling that of which we saw from, I believe it was Aladoric yesterday, dropping like a 90-something % kill participation in one of the games. That was pretty nuts. And of course, he's going to be taking himself home a $100 DoorDash voucher to spend. So again, he's had a couple of these this season. I reckon he'd be pushing it for like one of the players that has definitely had the most amount of them, or if not, he's getting pretty close. He has to share it with some of the boys sometimes, doesn't he? Like you'd think at this point that, or he just never has to pay for a bloody meal again.
He's a sponsored athlete getting free food to keep him going and putting in performances like that, isn't he? Crazy.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, the next thing on the agenda is our favourite segment, the play of the day. Now, there was 3 games, so that's less than usual. Do you remember plays from them, and do you have a favourite?
Nah.
No and no.
I'm trying to think.
Any thinkers? Anyone? Hello.
Surely there's
Twitch
a triple.
Chat.
Game 3 mid outer turret fight. I think it was.
Okay.
Where there was like the big Ornn ult with like Chaz flanking.
Well, at least you've remembered one of the plays.
I
so
did. It was the most recent game in the last fight.
Well, like, I'm wondering what it's going to be based on, right? Because you could say criteria-wise, it could be like game 1 with like Baron steals into how to ultimately like close out the game.
True.
Maybe you could go for game 2, how like there was that one moment like Parbu jumped in when they're sieging to end, and he jumped in, doesn't die somehow. That was kind of crazy. Maybe game 3 where it reaches a point where he can literally just jump in and do it all on his own as a Diana. I don't know. There's
I want to be the
lots of
Parbu one.
moments.
I'll put my vote there.
Okay.
It's just Parbu.
Well, you're not wrong. It is actually just Parbu. So here it is. The play of the day was just Parbu. No, it was the Q snipe with the Sonic Wave into the Resonating Strike to dive and go for this play. So, Nat, are you going to do some play-by-play for us?
I think this is your turn to shine, Mac. I'm so ready for you to do it.
All right, let's give it a crack. Just writing down some notes. I'm only really watching Parbu. Don't really care about anyone else. No one's as handsome as him. Yep.
If this doesn't just come all from Parbu's perspective.
Okay, well, here he is. Okay, jumping in. Oh my God, from downtown, Parbu, kicking him in and kicking him out as well. See you later, Gun Crab. Here's Decoy chasing you down. A little bit of a bouncy bounce around with the wingies there. Parbu again going back in. Later, Better late than never, of course, but he's run out of energy, so he's just looking to run away for now. But obviously, off the back of that, I've lost my words. Too much going on. Direwolves running like little old mice back to their little old houses, yeah. And
mice to the heist.
Mice to the heist.
Volume was like...
That distorted so
sorry.
much.
Well, you know,
It's
when
not your
I
fault.
don't get to do my casting voice on the LCO usually. So.
Oh, it's the same as Jubes. You
That was
replicated it
amazing.
beautifully,
I
mate.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ask any of the production team on every other show, I have a compressor that gets me from like here to my highs, which you just heard. Sorry. Apologies to your ears, viewers at home. However, we do have to recap the bracket, have a quick look at what is going down after today and what is going to be going down next week. So here it is. This is where we currently stand. PGG hightailing their way straight into that grand final, which is going to be not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. So they have a 2-week break to get themselves ready for that final game of the DoorDash LCO. However, there's still a story to be told down here in the lower bracket. You got Order and Peace coming up next Tuesday, and the winner of that goes on to take on Dire Wolves to see who is going to make their way into the grannies as well. So Order and Peace, that next matchup. Skimmy, are you excited for that one? And do you know if you're going to be casting that, or are you on the next day?
Well, I actually haven't checked, but I tell you what, Order versus Peace is going to be sublime because last time around, Order ran in the lower bracket. They got knocked out in the first round, 3-0 by the Chiefs. Different situation this time around. They have fallen down into that lower bracket, but up against the Peace that are rising to form. Both teams have their individual strengths. I think it's going to be an exciting one. Who do I go for? I think I'm going to give it to Peace. I think they... at full force are a little bit stronger, but I think Order definitely have some interesting picks. They kind of got a little bit exposed, it felt like, in their series last night against Direwolves, so some key picks taken away and just not able to be strong from that point onwards. But another week, another bit of tech for Omo and Calvin to draft up something crazy, and I'm sure those boys can put on a show.
Can I just say quickly?
Yes.
If we see Peace win this game of Order, and then Direwolves win over Peace, the bracket will play out almost exactly the same as Split 1, just different teams, if that makes sense. Like the runs will be the same.
Of the like if it was a maze, it'd look the same, just different teams taking different paths?
Exactly, yep.
Beautiful. I love a good maze. Now, maze, kind of like my brain and trying to say words and figure out how segments go together. That brings us one step closer towards the end of the day. So, that's the end of the first week of playoffs. What a damn time. That was only 3 games. We got 9 games overall, 3 matches. And
wild.
I feel like we could have got the 9 games in 2 matches, like so easily if anything went differently, but it didn't. So 9 games. Do you think it's going to be 3-0s all the way until the grand final? Like, what are we expecting at this point?
I think given the form of Peace being, like, I thought Direwolves were in very good form and then they got 3-0'd. So now I'm not sure what the form actually means for any team until we see them play on the day.
Yeah.
If Peace show up like they did yesterday with that form, and that is something that are taken to the finals, we might actually just get a 3-0 run all the way to the grand final. But again, I'm not actually certain. However, I'm not on next week, Max, so I'm just going to say it with confidence. Peace are going to double 3-0. Just get me to the granny.
Oh, straight to the granny. Now, I have a nice surprise. You know how usually you roll the credits and there's like a post-credit scene that's kind of like a little bonus? However, we're going to have something like that. It's not the end yet, so anyone that is sticking around after the match, I've got something nice for you. Now, if you guys want to vote on the fan vote for the players that delivered, you can head on over to lco.gg/fan vote and have your say. It's who was the player that delivered in the top lane, jungle, mid lane, bot lane, support overall, and I believe there's one other thing in there. And if you do go and vote, you can be one of 5 lucky people to win yourself a $100 DoorDash voucher. So head on over to that link. I'm sure someone's going to drop it in the chat there, and you can vote in the poll and potentially win yourself $100 to use on the DoorDash app. However, that brings us to the end of the day. I really hope that you all bought pizza, because I don't want to be the only one that ate pizza tonight. I actually saw a lot of people on Twitter. You had pizza? Did you? I'm sure Rusty didn't have pizza.
Bought pizza for me and my brother.
Oh, there you go.
Can't get pizza delivered. I'm in a small town.
That's okay, Rusty. That's okay. I'll deliver it to you once I'm able to leave my house. Now, that brings us to the end of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking around. We will see you next week to have a look at all the lower bracket action. Please stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you then.
Has the ultimate.
They need to zone these key
They
targets
haven't
away.
stopped Pabu.
Decoy jumping in, Pabu still left untouched. The Baron held at 2k. Claire's gone. The Baron's been stolen. It's the worst case scenario. He's going to die. Was only look to dash on in because he doesn't have to flash. The bomb goes down. Back-to-back steals. These junglers.
The Rise ult.
Certainly are. Out goes the Charm onto one. There's the second now. Gunkrab in a fair bit of trouble. Flashing for one order will do it and they will secure it. It's Pabu again. He's got 5 kills in 10 minutes. Somebody stop him. Oh no. Instant cleanse comes out of that one. True shot barrage is there but hits the climb. Pabu, what was that? Absolute godlike machine, this man. Then the kick to follow up. 2 members there. Claire jumps in. Has not ready to use it. Not going to find it just yet. 2 members locked in place. But it's just so much mobility. This Lee Sin will not die. He's tagged up. He is low. The Gore Drinker is there, but he may have just done enough individually and as a collective because PGG have now found themselves a second inhibitor. Not a single member has fallen on down. Claire cleanses himself out of the Urgot ultimate. Then they jump on through, but a silence just completely interrupts both the Alistair as well as the LeBlanc. Triple kill here for Pradev, and he's looking for the self. That perfect pentakill. He'll get the Quadra, and his team will end the game before there is...
They are going to be able to disengage if Pabu's going to stop as he's on a control ward, so the damage could come out.
Oh, he's doing it all on his own. Stop it. That is